Welcome back to the home studio and welcome to episode 44 of the Stevie Richards Show. Today we are going to talk about wrestling conventions, everything from interactions, good and bad, people that are really nice, maybe people that are not so nice, and also the circumstances that surround that can make a great experience or a terrible experience for a wrestling fan. And it goes the opposite way too, about wrestlers that have had bad and good experiences with the wrestling fans. So joining me right now is a person I hope to get their autograph someday, James Romero. By the way, James, I'm going away for a second, so you take it over. I have a surprise for you.
Oh, God. Right, okay then. Well, elsewhere, apart from the wrestling fans and wrestling scams and all that kind of thing we're going to be talking about the TNA Dive by Leon Slater. And apparently fans have been telling Stevie that they really like it when he watches stuff for the first time, so you get a genuine reaction. So he's not seen the Leon Slater Dive so far, so there's plenty. Ooh, I've just seen what Stevie's presenting to me. So we've got that to talk about. We've got a bit about Bryan Danielson to talk about. Something else as well that's deep in the format that I can't remember what it is. All right, am I doing the intro now? We're going to be discussing the two belts that you're holding. You muted there, didn't you?
I got unmuted because there's a lot of metal going around here. So it wouldn't be a convention episode of the Stevie Richards Show without the replica belts. But in all seriousness, I mean, we make fun of the fans sometimes that carry these replica belts around. But when I was a kid, if they had these available, you're damn sure I would buy replica belts. I was a huge fan of these, and this was not a thing at all when I was a kid. We used to make the cardboard belts and write in magic marker and do all that stuff. So these here are awesome. This right here is the ECW Tag Team Championship belt, the original one, not the newer one that you might know with the barbed wire. My friend Angel and all the guys from his show way back, Angel from the Baldies, actually sent this as a gift to me. And this right here is the official BWO belt. These would be actually featured on conventions. I don't care. People probably wouldn't care about taking a picture with me, but take a picture with the belts. Use any prop you can to get, man, this is getting heavy. Mm-hmm. I forgot I had a neck injury. It's pretty heavy. I'm going to mute it again. You take it over.
Okay, then. So, well, Stevie's muted and he replaces.
Oh, by the way, here we go. Sorry, thumbnail time.
Very good. Very good. People love that face. You know that. Right, so once again, we'll do the quick intro and the plugs and all that kind of thing. So we've got the YouTube channels. I've got mine, which, to be honest, I'm doing like once a week maybe at the moment. There's so little time to do things with everything else happening behind the scenes at WSI. But James Romero YouTube channel, I'll respond on something like once a week on the news. Stevie's also got the Stevie Richards Fitness channel. We've got the Tech channel as well for Stevie, of course. One thing that's important to mention is we've got something new. We've got some merchandise out. Just a little bit at the moment. The BWO t-shirts will be on their way, but at the moment we've got the Stevie Richards Show t-shirt, and we also have the Stevie Night Heat t-shirt that's never been out, and it's a brand new concept that Stevie was very keen to get on a t-shirt and release to the wider public, so that is available for you. Links are in the description, but also it should be on every single YouTube video. I know on desktop, I'm presuming on mobile as well, don't quote me. But you can just click the link right under every single video on the Stevie Richards Show YouTube channel. It can be this one, can be a clip, can be a full episode, it could be anything. You should be able to see it there. So it should be nice and easy and available for you to go for. Once again, as well, the cameo, the Stevie Richards Show. Well, it's not Stevie Richards Show, it's Stevie Richards Cameo. Not affiliated with the show. Where Stevie gives the cameo type who wants that kind of thing, you know, happy birthday, happy bris, a question being asked, that kind of thing. Anything, I come up with a different one every time. But, you know, Stevie will accommodate you far more than, I'll guarantee, 99% of the people on Cameo with his responses and his videos, and you will want more than one, I'm sure, after receiving one. And the Cameo is doing incredibly well. Have you got 5 stars or 4.9?
I got all 5 stars, believe it or not. Now the wrestling fans are going to give me 1 stars as a lark or a novelty. I
shouldn't have said that.
I hope not, but it's very, you know, it's very cool to connect with the fans like that and the questions they have, and I'm really, you sort of, in after years and years of being in the business, this is kind of what the conventions can also do. Sometimes you don't see the forest beyond the trees. You don't see that perspective, but to see fans want to be educated or ones that come with me with opinions on Cameo or even our Patreon, and to see them grow and learn off of the content that we do is pretty cool. And it's great that people ask me fitness advice or ask me some wrestling questions. It actually is, if you think about it, just like the belts. If I was getting into the wrestling business when I wanted to from like 15 until finally 19 years old, when I finally stepped into a wrestling school, and I had somebody available to ask, what should I do before I step into wrestling school? What should I do if I want to be a wrestler? And I give a very honest answer about being in shape, having a backup plan, making sure you either get a trade or a degree or some kind of skill to use as you're working your way up the ranks, or as a fallback, God forbid, we all get fired from wrestling eventually. So you're prepared for that. So if I had that available to me, I would have used it. Maybe it would have probably convinced me not to get in the business. Who knows? So maybe cancel that out.
You could be saving
right there,
people.
but
Think of it that way.
yeah, but somebody could have been considered to be saving me, and I still wanted to do it, and I was able to do it. So if I'm able to fulfill my dream, I don't see any reason why no one else can,
No.
or at least give it a shot.
No, absolutely, indeed. There's one more thing we have to plug at the beginning of every single show, and that is the Stevie Richards Show Patreon. My apologies in advance, Stevie. You know why.
I do not know why. Let me know why.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should have said not in advance. Well, it's in advance of when it is posted on Monday. But we've already watched it, actually. It was Minoru Suzuki versus Butterbean. What was that? I hadn't watched it beforehand.
I felt worse for them. Don Fry, Dan Severn, who I convinced Dan Severn and Don Fry are brothers because of the mustache alone. But yeah, it was tough to watch. And the rumor is that Butterbean had a broken leg, and you could see that he was having a lot of trouble getting around. And then we got a little bit of live rounds towards the end on the outside. Double count out. Spoiler. I know everybody's looking forward to seeing that, but double count out, which they should have just counted them out in the beginning and it should have been over. But I've been in that spot. We talked about the Unforgiven 2004 match, Mystery Woman versus Tomko. Take a drink, future episode, but not too distant in the future, according to James. Unforgiven, the entire story, including Vince McMahon pulling granny panties out of his suit jacket. There's your preview.
There's a tease. If there really is, if there was one.
It might have been more than a tease if he was pulling granny panties out of his. I wonder which computer was working during that interaction with myself.
When did you realize that you were working for this drooling pervert, Vince McMahon?
Anywhere from 24 to 48 hours after I signed my deal.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I was pretty naive, but I wasn't that naive to know that, like, this dude is not right. But he's a genius, and most people that are geniuses are not right.
Maniacs as well, one way or another.
He's a maniac. That's a better word for him. But talking about the Patreon, patreon.com/Stevie Richards. This Monday, after episode 44, which we're recording right now for release on Friday afternoon, Monday morning at 9 a.m., that watch along will go live. We also have other watch alongs in the queue. The other thing that you mentioned, t-shirts, people have wanted some shop items on Patreon. We can sell digital products. So I'm thinking about moving the Resistance Man programs to the Patreon shop, which is available pretty much for everybody, free members as well as paid members.
So let's get to the meat of it then. Now, this is a subject, a broad subject, that when I advanced it to you, Stevie, you turned it down twice. Or at least once. And then the second time you're like, I'm not sure about this. And I thought, no, don't worry. We'll make it interesting.
And this usually makes for the best episodes with the most views. So my instincts are completely wrong. I trust you, and I trusted you with the clickbait title as well.
Oh, what was the clickbait title?
Wrestling fans and wrestling scams.
Yeah. Well, we're going to be talking about conventions. It's going to be starting off very, very positively. In fact, we're going to be talking about the nicest people that you can meet at a convention. So many wrestling fans in the UK, America, certainly. There's so many of them, for goodness sake, as well. And I put myself in the position of a fan, which I am. I mean, I'm not a wrestler, for goodness sake. And I know the feeling of not wanting, especially when I was a younger man, not wanting to go to a convention and then, sticking my hand out saying hello to somebody I've seen on TV for so many years and, worrying about their reaction or saying something embarrassing and think, damn, I wish I hadn't done that kind of thing. And I think a lot of people will be very, very surprised to know if, you were on the fence whether to actually, go to these conventions, actually get an autograph or whatever, just how nice so many of the workers, wrestlers, performers, whatever you want to call them, are. And now, obviously, they're trying to get your money. It's all a business. It's all an interaction, for gain and all that kind of thing. But for the most part, wrestlers will make you feel really welcome, very thankful that you stopped by, which they are, of course, because, you're throwing business their way as well, and they'll give you, the time of day, most of them. We're going to be talking about the nicest guys in a minute, but before we do, what are the do's and don'ts? How many conventions have you done, in fact, over the years? I know you don't do them anymore.
I think it would have to be hundreds. And let's give the context here. You're right. Professional wrestlers and people within the wrestling business are such better representatives and ambassadors of the sport than, say, at these conventions specifically, than baseball players, football players, or other professional athletes who, when they're signing helmets or jerseys or pictures, they never even half the time, if not more, look up at the fans to make eye contact. Wrestlers are the most interactive, either you can call them entertainers and athletes. It's a sports entertainment industry. They are the most interactive, fan-friendly, and it does get a bad rap on the occasional wrestler, say Sasha Banks. I'm sure we'll talk about her. He really doesn't look happy about meeting the fans at the airport. And then sometimes even at conventions, you have wrestlers that do not have a good day going on, and it kind of bleeds through to the convention experiences. But those are exceptions to the rule. The rule is most wrestlers do really see that it's a gift of money. It's a gift of going out there, signing your name, interacting, and making what you can say is some easy money. So, yeah, I've seen wrestlers for the most part. And as time has gone on, because early in my career, I did notice the veteran put the cigarette out. Oh, I got to sign an autograph. That's morphed into where the wrestlers go and they want to see other wrestlers and they want to see other things and merchandise. And they usually have Funko Pops and action figures. So a guy like Zack Ryder would get so much more out of the convention than most fans would. And it's really a positive time in 2025. Now, I will say this and pass it back to you. WWE, right off the bat, with WrestleCon and not WrestleCon, but their WWE World and charging tens of thousands of dollars and all this stuff, they've lost the point in all this. They've become too greedy. So have an appreciation for independent wrestling conventions because you will get your money's worth at a much cheaper price than the WWE version. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to be talking about WWE prices. That's the one thing I forgot to mention at the beginning, but we'll be talking about WWE ticket prices and all that kind of caper later on, especially when they were essentially charging a meet and greet price of like $9,000 premium for like meeting Lex Luger and Triple H and The Undertaker's wife. We'll get there later.
Well, what about we'll talk about it, but somebody on Patreon sent us a video of the guy who paid $38,000 to play golf with The Miz.
Yeah, you sent that to me.
I sent that to you.
But I
didn't watch it at all. I didn't watch it, but there was somebody on Patreon shared it.
Yeah, well, I had a look at the amount of views he had in like 1.5 billion. I was like, yeah, he could probably afford that. And he apparently didn't even play golf with The Miz in the end. I mean, damn. Anyway, do you know who I met at WrestleCon last year? I've only been to one WrestleCon. I've been to a couple of the local ones here that I always forget the name of. I forgot to mention, I met Vladimir, the superfan.
Oh, the guy with the glasses,
yeah.
Jack dude. Yeah, they did a documentary about him,
Yeah,
too,
they did.
Right?
I actually said hello. It was Shane Douglas's friend, the 7-foot Ned, introduced me. He just dragged me over. You got to meet James. And he didn't know who it was, but I knew who he was, and that was the point. But yeah, but he was really nice as well. I met tons of people, I guess, at WrestleCon over those 3 days. Overwhelming is what it was. But I wasn't there just as a fan. I was there, to do work as well. So I sort of had a bit of a different...
you did that legendary interview with Raven too, during that
God.
time.
No, I won't do the... I won't do the blowing my brains out.
You're a Hardy's fan.
Yeah. Right. What are the do's and do not do's of getting people to spend their money on you? Obviously, be nice and welcoming and gracious and all that kind of thing and give people time. But what are the best ways of, welcoming people and also selling them extra merchandise without being too pushy?
Well, I think the interaction and not trying to sell them anything except for interaction. And then anything after that is a bonus. More times than not, there'll be people walking by. Oh, I recognize you. I'd introduce myself, ask them their name. They would talk to me. And then maybe a few hours after they make their rounds, they come back and go, you know what? I'm going to get a picture. I'm going to get a signed autograph or something. And usually that's the easiest way to convert, is just being yourself, enjoying the moment, enjoying what you have there, and not trying to be too pushy on anybody. Because I've been to conventions, other ones like video game conventions like PAX East and stuff, and you're walking around, people are trying to sell or at least get you to look at their game or their product. And everybody makes those one or two loops before they really make a decision outside of, I guess now in today's day, you have the separate room with the mega stars that you get the backdrop, and those are appointment or super tickets. So they're scheduled to go into there. But most people are walking around and seeing, can I find if there's somebody I didn't think of when I came here, or let me see if this guy or girl still looks the same, and let's see who's nice and not nice. They're doing recon to see what the event's like and the people in it. So usually that first off the bat, say you get to the convention, say, I would always like to get there about an hour early. So say it's at 12 noon, like call time for your autographs. I would get there about 11:15. I would bring my food, my water, and just maybe hopefully catch up with other wrestlers, because I do not want to walk away from the table and miss someone trying to interact with me because I'm going to meet somebody else. When 12 o'clock, 11:10, whatever time it starts, I'm at work, I'm staying there. I might go back and forth to the table next to me here or there, but once somebody walks up, I'm making that experience hopefully good for them. So that's fans do their little research recon to feel out the convention. Don't be too pushy right off the bat trying to get them to take your money. Or, well, take your money. They'd be hell of workers if they took my money. Yeah, get that wrong.
Most, well, I'm not going to ask for most money made, of course, that's a private thing. And also, I hadn't written it down. But what were the biggest sellers for you at conventions? I'm presuming, is it always like BWO merchandise or anything else?
Yeah, usually if it's the BWO, it's all three of us. And Meanie would usually make the shirts, so the shirts are his. If we were going to go three-way on a gross, meaning 144 shirts, we split three ways after the cost, or when it gets to the cost of it, we split it three ways either way, or overall, where we split three ways with the cost. That's a little bit, how should I say, that's not every single convention, because now you have to pay three guys to come in and sign and do that stuff. But most times with that, a combo picture, meaning, or a combo price of a signed 8x10 and a picture with you, is usually the best value. Usually do like, you charge for one price for one thing, one for another. And obviously when you combine them, it's a savings like 10, 20 bucks.
So the big, actually, just before we do, have you ever considered, because I know like Godfather does it, JBL does it now as well, where they turn up, on a Saturday as, let's say, Bradshaw. So he'll turn up as, brawling APA Bradshaw, then a Sunday he'll turn up as JBL with the white cowboy hat and the suit and all that kind of thing. Did you ever consider doing that for like Right to Censor or something to get people coming?
No, I did all three at one. I did three characters in one. It could have been a fourth, because there was Dancing Stevie, there's Big Stevie Cole, there's Right to Censor, and then there's Dr. Stevie.
There's Dressing as a Woman, Stevie, for Unforgiven 2004.
You son of a bitch. You know what? You better mortgage your house if you want that. But at least I'll be covered up. Hey, you know what? No one's ever thought of that, but thank you very much, James, because guess what I'm going to get from Bill Burns now every single day.
Excellent.
Mystery Woman, booked all over. Mystery Woman, special guest referee, whatever. But if the economy keeps going the way it is, maybe Mystery Woman will do some autograph signings. But with that being said, I remember when we did it too. It was probably one of the most fun conventions that I've done. I think it was the Crown Plaza, New Jersey, Monroe, New Jersey. I believe they used to do that once or twice a year there for wrestling, and then they have the horror convention. Sometimes it would cross over with pro wrestling. But I did Big Stevie Cole, Right to Censor, and Dr. Stevie. I was there 3 hours. Hour one was the first, hour two, and hour three. The coolest prop ever that I saw was Howard Finkel with the Madison Square Garden microphone thing in his tuxedo. And we got a picture with Howard because we needed to, Meanie and myself. So and I think Meanie did Blue Dust, and then we were going to do maybe Baron Von Stevie and Blue Dust, but it wasn't. I think we were asking people, and they were like, "Oh, these are the three we really like." So the person I think was asking people that pre-purchased, who would you like to take a picture with, get an autograph from, and that those were the top three. But yeah, I would definitely, dude. If there was a 3-day signing, I would milk that for everything I could as far as characters.
Who who puts on the best conventions, or who pays the best, or who treats you the best, or just like the best overall experience? Because I know WrestleCon and there's some other brands out there that, in the States at least, who do these pretty regularly now.
Well, they're all pretty high level, depending upon who you are, and it all depends on the vendor. It's not so much like what was the one? There's all these different cons. It's not a Comic Con. We were at Chicago Comic Con. That was a great one, meeting myself and Nova. But the best vendor I ever worked for, as far as he's a friend and the convention, was Michael Herman from Retromania Wrestling. We were doing an appearance and we did a panel at a video game convention. I think it wasn't too many games. It was something else. There's ones up in Pennsylvania to do that. But I got to really scratch my video game loving itch around there and do everything previous. But then the fans who came, it was awesome because we had the arcade cabinet and I got to play Retromania against the fans, and it was just a fun experience besides signing stuff, signing the games. But usually the WrestleCons are the biggest money makers. Obviously, WrestleMania weekend. And if you're able to, I don't know how much, like I said last week or the week before, how much WWE closes out other types of conventions during that week. But WrestleCon's usually the most popular one. And you did the one in Philly. You have to know that, like, it's a huge deal. Yeah. So everybody gets to make money. It's the fans bringing the most amount of disposable income all year round for that event. So that would be probably the best one as far as money making.
Yeah, it was 2 whole floors in a hotel, and it was big. They had all the ECW security guards on as well.
Oh, Atlas Security was there, Ronnie and everybody. Yeah.
I recognized the dude with the mustache and the mullet.
Yeah. Was it? Well, they did 2 had mullets. One was blonde hair. One had
the dark-haired one. Yeah.
Brown. Yeah.
Right then. Who?
They were real security, by the way. They had to really protect us sometimes from these crazy fans, and sometimes they had to protect the fans from the crazy wrestlers.
I think there might have been a couple of incidents last year as well. I think Matt Cardona got into a shoving match with some random dude. I saw a video of that. I didn't see it, but yeah, that happened. But I'll tell you.
Well, that's Game Changer, right? So they hated when this Matt Cardona came in for the hardcore audience and ended up going over. He had some really great heat, but he's also one of the best guys, not even nicest guys, one of the best businessmen when it comes to that kind of stuff and converting merch and sales and autographs. Matt is really, really a great businessman with that.
Yeah. I'd like I think I was at one point picketing for like Dutch to get a figure as well. You should get a figure with them. Or have you? Didn't you have like...
They do figures?
Yeah, they've got their own company.
I did not know that.
Yeah. No, it's just the way you said it. Thought you must know, but no, yeah.
Well, I'm from Philadelphia. I'm naturally cynical and sarcastic, but I was being 100% genuine. I did not know that. Good for him.
Yeah, so, like the Major Bendies and all that kind of thing. You should get in touch, see if they bring back the BWO or something like that.
Oh, by the way, Pro Wrestling Tees does have a way to make those little wrestling buddies, and I've considered doing that for merch as well for Patreon and here. So let us know in the comments if you want something like that. We'll get a James one, too.
Nope. Nah, I'm fine. Now, let's get to the meat of it now. So let's say someone like I was a few years ago, and you're wondering who you're going to go up and shake hands with or say hello to for the very first time, and you don't want to have someone who's going to stress you out. Basically, you want to have somebody who's nice. You want to be somebody who's welcoming. You want to have a good minute or two, and be gracious and just easy to deal with, I guess. So there's sort of two different ones here. So we'll leave the convention one till second. But the first one is, who did you find were best to approach outside of conventions? I'm not talking about when they were in the bathroom or anything like that. But who were the guys who were with WWE or elsewhere who were just great with the fans and really gracious and just easy to get on with?
Well, I mean, the easy one is Mick Foley. The easy one's Mick Foley if you're talking about in the airport or just traveling or, at a rental car counter or anything like that. And obviously, everybody has somewhere to go. Most times, wrestlers in the airport, leaving the airport or at the rental car or anything, they're getting to the show usually. They have to get to the show that day or travel. And if it's late at night and they're eating something, they're going to the next town. So you got to be, realistic that they might not be able to spend 15, 20, 30 minutes with you. But, most wrestlers can spend 3 to 5 minutes talking, asking questions. My whole thing when I met fans would be to ask them more about themselves. What's your name? Who are, who's your favorite wrestler? All that stuff. You don't have to say me. That's usually disarms them enough. You know what I mean? Because when you say who's your favorite wrestler, they kind of like look around. What am I supposed to say? You? It's like you don't have to say me. It's okay. I'm not even my own favorite wrestler. Like Flair, Michaels, all those guys and everything. So you disarm them. Mick Foley's great at that. You have a list of people here. I'd say Triple H is like that. I'd say China got like that after WWE when I saw her on conventions. She was always very nice and gracious to people. Meanie's an easy one. Some people, I don't know, Demolition's awesome to talk to. I've seen them interact with the fans. And I actually went up and asked them questions like I was a fan too. And, Barry and Bill were awesome. Both of them were really nice. Piper seemed to be good at conventions from what I heard and what I've seen in the limited amount of time. Who else? Most of these are really, you're talking about people like Paul Heyman, other people. Back in the ECW days, they would obviously have, Q&As and panels and stuff like that. But I don't know the present day Paul Heyman and WWE World or Fan Access, what that would be like. Duggan's awesome.
Just before we get through the rest of the list, did ECW have kind of like Smoky Mountain had at the time? Did they have fan conventions where, once a year fans would mingle with the wrestlers like for the entire evening? Or where would even these Q&As happen?
If I remember correctly, for some reason, it would happen before CyberSlam. They had CyberSlam, I believe 2 of them, 96, 97. They definitely had CyberSlam 97, and that would be people bust in from New York and other places, and they would do the Q&A there with Paulie, Bubba, Taz. Taz looked really happy to be there, by the way, as you can imagine. But they would bring in ECW people back and forth. They would have the big table on the stage at the hotel ballroom, and they would just ask questions. And there's probably fan cam footage of Paul answering questions from that Q&A. I think it was CyberSlam. Mm-hmm. But ECW would also have the bus trips that would include maybe some other meet and greet. But more times than not, especially at the arena, the boys would be putting out merchandise on the tables. The fans were coming in, and they would interact usually an hour before the show. It was very much a mingling atmosphere there. We weren't giving away anything. It wasn't like Taz and Sabu are standing next to each other right before the pay-per-view talking to fans. But they would make sure people would come out and especially baby faces interact with the fans. So kind of before every show is like a mini convention type thing.
I want to read some of these names that you've brushed past because I've gone through Reddits and forums and basically collated names for like the nicest and maybe least pleasant interactions as well. Where people have said their name multiple times in positive or otherwise. Jim Cornette, Hall and Nash, but the general consensus is if it's Hall and Nash, pretty good. If they're individual, really good. When they're in a group, less so. Apparently that seems to be the general consensus with like Click members, I guess. China at the time, with WWF maybe not so much, but in later years, as you say, a lot better. The Undertaker, a lot of these people, once again, you said, depends on their flight, depends on how much time they have, etc. But a lot of positive ones for the Undertaker, Owen Hart, Blue Meanie. I mean, I've met Blue Meanie, interviewed him and talked to him a number of times. I can definitely vouch for him. Ciampa, Rhea Ripley's very good. Malachi Black, apparently, which was bizarre. I thought, not bizarre, but like one name you wouldn't associate with someone who was, very easygoing to talk to and a lot of positive things. The Powers of Pain, I can absolutely say yes. Demolition, like you said, yes. Henry L. Godwin. Jerry Lynn, he's super nice, dude. A lot of the ECW guys are very, very cool with the fans as well, I think. Yeah,
the next name that you're going to talk about, and this might be a point where the fans are trying to get away from
Ah,
him.
yes.
Shane Douglas. Shane Douglas, not for bad reasons, but if you ask Shane a question, it's kind of like my cameo. You ask me if like a question about something with wrestling and break it down and kind of analyze it, you're getting a 5 to 10 minute answer. Shane will give you, and he will quiz you and try to educate you. That's awesome. You're getting a maximum amount of value, but sometimes the fans are like, yeah, I got 50 more people I'm trying to meet. But that's why Shane is one of the best, I think, convention people, because he doesn't treat the fans like they're stupid. And even if they don't know, he will explain it in enough plain English to try to get you to understand it. And if you say, I want to be a wrestler, Shane will take as much available time as he has to try to tell you the reality of it all, but not discourage you. You know what I mean? Shane will, right off the bat, my experience might be different than yours. So Shane's one of my favorites to watch him not interact with the fans, but converse with the fans.
Yeah, Shane is, I would say, if you go
You already knew who I was going to say.
Yeah, I knew exactly what you were going to say. I knew exactly what you were going to say. Yeah, Shane is, if you want to speak to one wrestler, you know, you first have a wrestler, sort of to even like warm yourself up into, you know, meeting these guys and everything, Shane's your man. He is the easiest person to talk to. He will basically talk at you. You don't, you know, and he will listen to everything you say. He's got great memory as well. So, I mean, if you see him in a few months' time, he'll remember you from the last time, kind of thing. Francine as well went, because I was watching Shane and Francine at the convention when I went to WrestleCon, and I thought, do you know what? They were so good with the fans, and I'd recommend both of them if you really want to talk to some wrestlers and really want to have a good experience. I'd say those two, absolutely, hands down.
And they kept up the act too, not in a negative way. They keep up the act. They both dress kind of like they would as if you were watching the act back in the 90s.
Now, there's Taz. We're talking later Taz. A lot easier to get on with, apparently, back in the day, you said. Maybe not as much. Paul Heyman was mentioned a couple of times. Roddy Piper. The Young Bucks was mentioned a few times as really easygoing. Edge, his name kept coming up as someone who's great to meet at conventions.
Now, I don't have any experience with some of these people you just talked about. I've never been on a convention with Edge, the Young Bucks, or The Undertaker, or even a lot of these people, but I will speak to, you know, you talking about the reputation, but my personal experiences with that. Normally, you'll know who the people are who aren't good, because when you're good to the fans or you talk to them, they will immediately tell you who they had the bad experience with and how this is kind of making up for it or making them forget about it, or you're spoiling them for the next time they meet somebody who's going to fall far short.
Where else are we? Do other names? Eddie Guerrero, because obviously he doesn't do them anymore. Christian, Charlotte Flair, Ricky Steamboat's name came up a lot of times. Jim Duggan, I believe, is absolutely fantastic at these things. And once again, I saw an interview many, many years ago, and he just said, you know what? I hate the word marks. They're customers, they're fans. You don't call them marks. And I just thought that's so refreshing, because he's one of the old guard. He broke in the 70s. And it's so refreshing to hear somebody, you know, treat the fans like they're not scum or just, you know, like a walking money bag. Because I'm sure, you know, you'll know far better than me. A lot of the older guard, you know, it's a carny business, and they're the pigeons, they're the marks, kind of thing. And you sort of that relationship they carry around in their head. But the guys like Duggan and like Sergeant Slaughter is another name on the list, so, you know, make every person feel special.
Yeah, he'll put the Cobra Clutch on you. He'll let you take a pose for a picture with the Cobra Clutch, which I keep telling him is going to end up with a lawsuit. Be careful, Sarge. There you go. By the way, we have to do a watch along of that match on Veterans Day in Washington, D.C. from Stevie Night Heat days. Myself versus Sergeant Slaughter. Once again, goosebumps just thinking about it. I was going to say this too. Duggan's awesome. You know who's probably the most fan-friendly guy I've seen in modern history and doesn't ever get enough credit because he just has that reputation with people that want to think a negative reputation? Bagwell is probably the most, you know, fan interactive wrestler that you'll ever meet. He's like a Shane Douglas. You almost have to get away from him because he'll talk to you. He'll talk to you and he'll make you get your money's worth and give you a lot of information. So don't, you know, for Buff and all the people that have all this assumed opinion of him or perspective or whatever, you go to a convention, you go to a signing, you go to an independent show, Bagwell's going to make sure you get the interactive experience you're paying for.
Ricky Morton, I mean, I can vouch for Ricky. I mean, he's just tons of fun. He's just Ricky Morton day and night. He's great. Diamond Dallas Page, a lot of people have said, I mean, I went up to him and he didn't remember me from a week ago. But, he was very, very friendly and everything like that, and he makes a fuss out of every, he's a good person to me. His line's always very long. A lot of these people's lines are very long. Adam Cole, who's just, apparently I've never talked to him, but one of the nicest guys in real life. The Hardy Boys, the line they had at WrestleCon was outrageous, and they didn't have like the Sting or Ronda Rousey, private room off where the queue snaking around. No, they were on a table with everyone else, and their line was as long as anybody's. Especially when they're together, of course. Perry Saturn, loads of people were happy to see him. He's back on the convention scene for a while. The Cat, Ernest the Cat Miller was.
Can I
really
say
good.
something about Perry
Please,
so you can disagree with me?
Yes.
He is just one of the nicest dudes that I've ever met, and one of the best workers, and just a guy that if you disagree with me, Perry, which you say you disagree with everything I say, I'm going to keep that joke
You will
going
never
for a
let
while.
that go with you.
No, I won't let it go. And no, wrestlers don't let things go that are fun. And he can rib me just as much about a million different things. But to see Perry going to conventions and signing autographs and getting that you get that wrestling itch scratched by going, you get your fix as far as bad use of words with wrestling. But I'm just saying, you get the affirmation by going to these things, and hopefully these conventions keep Perry continuing on that positive path. And also, it's passive income. It's easy money for wrestlers to make. So keep getting booked, Perry.
Bryan Danielson, obviously, the Godfather, Mark Henry, Brutus Beefcake. His name came up a couple of times on the bad side, but a lot more on the good side, actually. D'Lo Brown, Bushwhacker Luke, Goldberg. Do you know what's so funny? Is that Bushwhacker Luke, I was going up an escalator, he was coming down, and it's a lot different to recognize someone on camera than it is to see them in real life, I guess, sometimes. Anyway, I was just minding my own business, and he slaps me on the arm and says, "James, how you doing?" It's like, no way did he recognize me from that, and that was like 2 years earlier. But yeah, he's cool as anything. Goldberg's name came up. Shawn Michaels' name has come up a number of times with people praising how good he was at these conventions. Another one, Velvet Sky. You've got to talk about Todd Gordon for a second, because he's just nice as pie.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Todd gets it. Todd realizes, we're all blessed to be a part of this business, and especially when you're a non-wrestler and you're able to still have memories, write books, and then share those memories and share the novel with people and promote it at conventions, and people will remember you. Todd was just as much, if not more, because of the origin of Eastern Championship Wrestling, not Extreme. There wouldn't be an ECW without Todd Gordon. So I'm glad to see him get, you used the term get his flowers, but I'm glad to see that Todd is he's booked more than we are. So good for him.
Few more names: Steve Corino, Al Snow, Jimmy Hart, Tyson Kidd, Kurt Angle, if he wasn't in one of his more troubled times, we have to say that. Christopher Daniels, someone I never talked to, but once again has a great reputation as just one of the easiest guys to get along with.
Yeah, I agree with that. I've known Chris for decades now. He's always been one of the nicest, kindest people. And if you ever do you want me to I can try to contact him for an interview.
I am retired.
Oh, two retired people here on the Stevie Richards show.
I'm happily retired from interviewing. Do you know what? I've had to turn quite a few interviews down as well. And it's like, 6.
You as the interviewer had to turn the interviewers down. Okay, I'm got it.
I've been turned.
What did we just go into bizarre world?
I'll tell you some names after. Chris Bay, Kenny Omega, of course, Victoria, Jay Lethal, Rob Van Dam, the Road Warriors. They'll really make a fuss of people, apparently, according to a couple of posts I saw. Balls Mahoney as well, Rhino, Samoa Joe, and there's some really specific stories about how nice Samoa Joe was, or, spotting nervous people and calming them down. Some people get really nervous, and it's a fact of life, and some people will be nice to you, and then Samoa Joe will actively try and calm you down, that kind of thing. So, I mean, how often did you get nervous people coming up to the tables?
With me, I don't know. I never had that kind of reputation or that aura about me. I'm nervous around Joe sometimes too, by the way. So, but no. But if I do see somebody, and there are some things we're going to get to, my best practices or my habits or the things I do during a convention that most athletes won't do. So there's a little tease, not a future episode. We're going to cover it in this episode, but I'm going to pick it up right now. Iron Sheik mostly, depending on point you get. But as time went on with the Sheik, they just wanted to hear him drop F-bombs on Hulk Hogan and humbling Bryan. He became kind of a caricature or meme. Where if you get Iron Sheik, which I have, and asked him about the Olympics, what it was like to train, becomes very lucid, tells the story. He's what is it, Cosmo or Kozlov?
No, yeah, you might be thinking of
His real
Kramer
name.
with Cosmo.
No, his real
it's
name.
Kozlov. Is it?
His first name?
Yeah, I
no.
thought it was Kozlov,
I
wasn't it?
think it's Kozlo or Cosmo.
Hang on.
I'm sorry. I thought it was and his middle name was Iron, the last name was Sheik.
No, actually,
but you asked,
his first name is Hussein, so it's Hussein Khosrow Ali Vaziri.
Oh, okay. Good Lord. I was close, I guess. So, but if you ask the right questions, maybe as a fan, if you know something about the wrestler that has nothing to do with the match, the moment, the push, the burial, the drama, the locker room, the first question to warm a wrestler up would be like Samoa Joe. Hey, man, I know you're a gamer. I'm a gamer. What's your favorite video game? What are you playing right now? Right there. That's how you can disarm a wrestler as much as a wrestler will disarm the fans. Sometimes literally.
Oh, that'll be coming up, I'm sure, at some point as well. Mick Foley, but he weirdly makes the worst list as well on occasion. I think he does so many. Some people do so many of these that, you can, I guess, not always at your best, or you're just worn out, I suppose. Ivan Koloff, Harley Race, The Miz. And I tell you what, The Miz, he's a dude. I've heard him in interviews, and it's like, you can say what you want about, his wrestling or his on-screen character, whether you liked it or not. He's a dude who, by his own admission, will never say no. Oh, you need somebody to make this personal appearance. I'm first in line to do it. Get up early in the morning to go to the radio station to plug whatever show it was. He will do it. And he's always positive. He's always got a ton of energy and that kind of thing. And no one has ever had, unless they played him at Top Golf at WrestleMania 41 and didn't actually get to meet him, no one's got a bad Miz story with personal appearances. He's very good at them, apparently.
Yeah, but at the same time, let's back up to the wrestling part of it. Miz is a solid wrestler. Miz can wrestle, and Miz came from a reality show. Let's not forget about his 2 reality shows. He was on The Real World, correct? Or was it?
He was on Fear Factor when that guy tried to attack Joe Rogan.
That too. So this then Tough Enough, right?
Road Rules or something like that was he on?
No, he was on basically Tough Enough was the second or third reality show. So he was he was starting out with 2 strikes against him and Maven and everybody like that. I remember the boxing match during the Tough Enough thing. Remember that's where he started. He had a boxing match with somebody. I think it was Pewter.
Did he?
He had a boxing match, I believe, during the competition phase of that. Look it up if you can. But I'll go back to the wrestling. The Miz is an excellent worker. He's a great worker. For somebody to be able to work with a whole host of different styles and only be injured 1 to 2 times in his entire career, he's not being careful. He's bumping, putting people over, taking finishes. And as far as promos, I don't think anybody, when Miz is pushed by the machine in the right way, like he did on that WrestleMania season, going into WrestleMania, I think 28 into Atlanta, Georgia, they did him a disservice by not making him run with the belt longer. In other words, he looked like a Jinder Mahal in the eyes of casual fans, just strictly a transition champion. But how many people have been Grand Slam winners on multiple occasions? How many people could make Bobby Lashley a babyface almost instantly for that COVID era world title reign that he had? Remember that?
I also remember him getting eaten by zombies a few years ago.
That too. Miz makes other guys. Miz is the ultimate utility player and deserves every spot that he's been not given, I should say, opportunities so he can take that spot. And the fact that a guy can show up, go away, show up again, go away, and then still be just as hated or loved no matter what he's given.
It was WrestleMania 27, by the way. I knew 28 didn't sound right because 30 was Daniel Bryan. I'd say you're absolutely right. The Miz is a utility play, but also similarly, I would also say he doesn't excel at any one thing, but he's good at everything, kind of thing. Would that be fair to say about the Miz?
Yeah, but isn't it enough for anybody to be a top star in
Yeah,
wrestling?
he's main event of WrestleMania. He's been the world champion more than once. And yeah, of course it is. And he's really easy to deal with as well. So
Exactly. Did you fact check that boxing match?
Daniel
Did I
Pewter,
get
you're
that wrong?
absolutely right as well.
Yes,
Well done.
CT, not today. Maybe tomorrow.
Back in the day, Randy Savage, Bobby Heenan, only a couple more left. Cody Rhodes, Darby Allin, and a couple more I wrote down. I completely forgot to mention Dutch because he says I love doing conventions because I'd rather talk to the fans than the boys, and he just likes hearing other people's stories.
He took the words right out of my mouth, Dutch. You and I are more. You get to a point you want to fall back in love with the business to some point. If you're around the wrestlers and the promoters and everybody in management and you're in that bubble, you start to resent it and not realize what a absolute gift it is. The fans at the conventions do every bit as good for the wrestlers as the wrestlers do for the fans.
There was one more on the list that, in fact, I didn't put it on the list, but I have to mention it. Hulk Hogan. I mean, the amount of you say what you want about him as far as a performer or his private life, I guess, but the fact is that so many people have come away with positive interactions with Hulk Hogan from signings and Make-A-Wish and all that kind of thing as well. Is, he's the kind of person, at least in that aspect, wrestlers should emulate. He comes from the carny old school 70s, breaking in. But you know what? He made fans for life, thousands upon thousands, by treating them all well.
Yeah, and now in present day, when you go to Hogan's Beach and he's there, there's tons of social media videos over the years of Hogan interacting with little kids and begging off and, yo, brother, you know what I mean? And the kids are doing it. And then he's got the karaoke night and other things at his bar. So, like, he's doing the interaction, not just the conventions, he's doing it at his places of business as well. He literally did break into the business. They broke his leg. So there you go.
It's funny, I've heard a differing story about that.
I have too. I was about to mention. I don't know if it's 100% true.
Yeah.
Let's stay on the positive.
We'll stay on the positive. Okay, well, we're not going to now. Should we even bother mentioning a couple of the worst wrestlers? I mean, we can mention a couple of names that I don't feel bad mentioning out loud. Raven. Loads of negative ones. That if nothing else, he's just all business. But he's one of the guys who looks at fans like complete marks. You're a mark. You owe me.
Well, it's not only that, but Raven, like with your interview, Raven has a tendency, and he's not alone with this. I think some other people, at least Raven, is being genuine. Guys try to hide it. But it's almost like sometimes Raven thinks he's too good to be there. Or that's the impression. It doesn't matter. Perception's reality, right? So whether he means to or not, that's the way it comes off. He couldn't be bothered. And he's not alone in that. And he's also not alone in the fact that there are wrestlers out there that feel that way, but they can fake it. And then when you get into that green room or something, it's like the Ben Affleck smoking outside the restaurant picture. So that's very much what it is. Raven's one. I know Flair, depending upon how you get them. Let's put some context on this, by the way. And I don't know, I can't speak for Raven or Flair or anybody, but there's certain factors, and there's no excuse with this. It's just the same thing as going into a show, going into work. If you have a bad commute to work, saying if you have a bad drive to the airport, you got a bad flight, it's delayed, it's canceled, you're not in your routine, you didn't get to work out that morning, although I would get up early, I'm going to work out. You didn't get a proper breakfast, you start to, all these factors, then your rental car is not ready, or they gave it to somebody else, and you got to take a cab or an Uber to the building. The promoter shorted you on the pay when you walked in the building. This is all before you interact with fan number one. That's why and like I said, there was a time when I was in the bubble and doing these conventions that I wasn't necessarily bad, but I didn't put my best foot forward, which may not have even been interpreted as that way, because with stuff like other people, the bar's set kind of low sometimes. But what I would say, even if I was running a little bit late, I would ask the promoter, is there any way when I get there that I can have 5 minutes to decompress so I'm ready to be my best self? Or I would sit in the rental car and just take some deep breaths and just say, it's like the stand, the guy from Saturday Night Live looking in the mirror. But I'm closing my eyes and realizing you've dreamed of this since you were a kid. This is all you ever wanted to do. And you're not taking bumps. You're not doing anything. Everybody wants to meet you or meet a wrestler. You're getting paid to sign your name. Where usually when you're signing your name, you're paying somebody else with a check or a bill or something. When you do that, 3 to 5 minutes, you have perfect perspective, you have a perfect outlook, and you're excited to get in there. And that's something that a Ric Flair or a Raven or anybody else could just be having a bad day. And it just snowballs, right? The domino effect, and it just gets worse and worse and worse.
I'm more of the opinion that you're being paid, and a lot of people are being paid 4 figures to turn up to these wrestling conventions, fake a smile. You know, I'm one of those people.
Why fake it though? You should be smiling to get 4 or 5, however many figures. You don't have to act like you're happy about that.
That's exactly what right. As some of these people doing too many of these conventions and just becoming too cynical or even too entitled to the point where they're not putting their best foot forward in these conventions, because some people do like every weekend and travel across the states or wherever.
I spoke when I was at Chicago Comic-Con. I spoke to like zombie number 47 from The Walking Dead or whatever extra that was there making money. And they worked the convention circuit. So the Comic-Con with the people from Supernatural or other cult classic TV shows or Star Trek or whatever, Walking Dead, they make a full-time living on the convention circuit. I get that. I'm making a point about this. But with wrestling, the more you go back to a promotion, the more you do the conventions, I feel like it's less special for you. Maybe your monetary value or your booking fee goes down. So I would definitely limit those as a pro wrestler, just because it's like the big 4 of pay-per-views, sort of. When they started having 12, 15 pay-per-views, nothing special. But if you had 4 per year, you look forward to that. So maybe it's a bad analogy. I think it's a decent analogy to say with wrestlers, with wrestling in general, here's the saying: less is more. You do less of them, you get paid more. The fans don't get exhausted. You still have the lines. But if you're doing 12, 13 a year and you're going back to the same ones, yeah, have you noticed that from people, like if you've gone to multiple conventions or signings, that they do kind of come down with that? Oh, I already got the autograph. I already met this guy. I'm not going back.
Yeah, if you liken it to a wrestling card, you find yourself dropping further and further down the card, basically, of importance. The more you do in that sense. And once again,
what I would say is this. Excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt. You want to always feel like you're a special attraction at the conventions and not just another guy on the card.
With that being said, now some of these, you never know. You could just be in the wrong mood, or someone takes something wrong, and that's why they mention your name. But these are people whose names have been mentioned numerous times. I had to pick them up. Mick Foley, once again, but he does so many of these and does so much travelling and so many appearances that, I'm sure he's just grumpy and tired quite a lot of the time, quite frankly, even though he's got the reputation of being a super nice guy, which I'm sure he is. I'm sure you do so many, once again, it can be wearing, as you were saying. Now, Ric Flair, tons of complaints about Ric Flair, doesn't look you in the eye most of the time, doesn't listen to what you say, signs, get out. Lots of reports of him jacking up the price throughout the day as well. So, I mean, he basically hits...
He's doing the Wendy surge pricing?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Not the only one. Not the only one. There's
do the Fargo strut. I'm doing the Fargo strut to higher fees. Figure 4 loans, baby.
So there's definitely that one. I won't mention that guy's name. Amazingly, so maybe not so much, Chris Benoit's name came up as just someone who always had a great big F off on his forehead, didn't want to be there at any of these signings. Jerry Lawler.
People probably got lucky.
Yeah.
You probably do want to get away.
No, I mean, assuming you're not, drug defenseless, relative, you're probably fine. Jerry Lawler, similarly, some say great, some say not so great. Jake the Snake Roberts' name came up numerous times as someone who is the kind of, with the Carney mentality of grumpy, doesn't want to be there, just everything unapproachable, I guess. And I'd read numerous complaints about him. Virgil, because he just tries and hustles you constantly, whether, in the subway or in the restaurant at the Olive Garden or wherever he was. You know, he was basically a nightmare to deal with, I guess. Raven, unsurprisingly, Ultimate Warrior had some famous complaints. Superstar Billy Graham was very much a hustler. I've got one name. I might edit it out if you want me to. Bully Ray. His name came up as someone several times.
Well, here's the overarching theme with all these names that you're saying don't want to be bothered to be there or try all these old school carny tricks, or they don't want to interact with the fans. Then what the hell did you take the booking for?
Oh, you know.
Simple as that, right? For money. But the money, I said this during the Just Incredible thing. This is not hard. Exchange of the service for the money. They pay you a good amount of money in an economy that's not doing so great. And if somebody's going to give you, these combo prices are minimum $30 to $40. They might be more now with inflation and everything. So say it's $50 for a picture and an autograph. For 2 to 3 minutes worth of work, 5 if you really want to have a conversation, and you multiply that times whatever, and someone is there to push the line along so you can play good cop, bad cop. I do that all the time, even though I like when I'm genuinely interested in most fans and what they have to say, their perspective, their opinions, and also when we're talking about video games and stuff. But the heavy literally has to cut me off and well, probably Shane too, and move the line along. So you can play the good guy all throughout that, and that heavy or the handler can play the bad guy. Why do you need to do that? It's so weird how even with a Ric Flair, have that guy jack the prices up and you're kind of saying, hey, I'm trying, but he brought me in, so he's trying to make his money back. It's a lie, but at the same time, the Bubba thing, I don't know. Bubba's such a natural heel, and that's where he drew his money. Obviously, in real life, it seems like people say he is too. But why do you do the conventions then if you want to keep up the heel, the mean heel character? I know money,
Yeah, well,
but
people
I'm just
keep
saying.
paying him. Let me give you a few more, then we'll sort of put a bow on this. Austin Aries' name came up several times. I'm sure you'd be shocked to hear. MJF, but similarly, he is very much in character all the time. But quite frankly, that would turn me off entirely because I just find that exhausting, and it's just like, you know what?
The novelty's worn off. For like a couple of conventions, it was good with the middle finger in the little kid's face, but it becomes exhausting, like you said.
It's like, that's why I never wanted to interview MJ. Not that I ever asked, because AEW turned me down flat. But it's just like, I don't want to do in-character interviews. I'll only mention a couple more. Prince Albert. For some reason, Prince Albert's name came up way more than once. And even other wrestlers, in one of the anecdotes I read, everyone apparently was really fine. And then the wrestlers were telling the fans, whatever you do, don't go to A-Train. Because he's just grumpy all the time. So there you go. And for some reason, people said Colt Cabana, which I didn't really see. I don't know, maybe it's just like on the sell. The hard selling.
Oh, it could always be the thing with Matt Bloom is you should be happy anybody's booking you. How's that? I'm going to say it straight up. The Colt Cabana thing could just be, it could have been during the time with the lawsuit with Punk. You know, that's why I'm saying you have to disconnect any personal strife or it's difficult to leave things at home, but you can do it when you get into a match. And this is basically, you're in an arena of a convention, but you're not taking any bumps. So technically, it should be easier to do this, but for some reason, people treat it like it's harder than actually wrestling a match.
So there you go. So really, the overarching theme is most of the people who go to these conventions are great with the fans.
Wait a minute. You left out 2 names. You left out our biggest moneymaker here.
Go on.
The Rock.
Did I?
You put the Rock, Juventud Guerrero, Virgil, and then you shared a personal experience about Jungle Boy.
Oh my God, I completely forgot about Jungle Boy. Yeah.
Come on, the Rock is he's the AdSense boss.
He was just
not the final boss.
I think he's one of those things where we'll talk about this in a minute as well. It's just WWE, you know, they sit you down, it's after a show, and they rush you through, basically get your autographs and leave kind of thing. But I think that's just the WWE system more than The Rock. But yeah, Jungle Boy, I was at I can never remember what it's called, the one in Manchester a few years ago. He was sat there, he was a babyface as well, right? So he had like a live interview in the ring where all he did was complain. And then he was sat on his own at a table leaning back, looking at his phone the entire time. I was like, that is the most, like, you are being paid to be here. Smile. You know, like, come on. I don't get it. I mean, give the fans... No one was around this table either. So he was getting what he wanted. He already had his, you know, he'd already been paid up front, I guess. And then was just, once again, just like, he might as well just had F off tattooed on his forehead. It was like so unattractive for people to approach.
Let me ask you a question, just playing, you know, the alternative theory of this. Did this coincide with his early heel turn or the beginning of the heel turn? I'm just asking. I didn't know if they were trying to get too cute and outsmart themselves, or they just said he's a prick, so we should turn him heel.
Well, I genuinely thought that, because shortly after that had come out, then they started changing. He started all of a sudden looking like Danny Masterson. You know what I mean? From that 70s show.
So somebody was smart enough to see, let's just go along with what, because that kind of went viral in the wrestling world. I remember seeing that clip of everybody sitting in the ring and him being completely disinterested.
Yeah. So I figured genuinely that's where the heel turn came from, was that convention. Or, you know, at least the seed. Right then. So you told me this off air ages ago, Stephen, and I wrote it down as a future subject. And essentially it's wrestling convention scams. Both ways, you know, we're, you know, fans and promoters and wrestlers and the whole thing, like what to look out for. And the one story, say no names, apart from the fact that I wrote it on my format, and then you pointed out that I'd written it on the format, and you said you had to edit it out for the Patreon subscribers, was that there was a kind of scam that certain wrestlers would do on promoters to get extra money out of them. So once again, say no names.
I'm not, we're saying names. It's not Joe Henry. I can tell you that. Joe Henry's a nice guy, very fan interactive, one of the nicest ones you can meet at a convention. So anybody in the other ether of wrestling, you can guess. Basically what happened was, and this was explained directly from the talent, that listen, when you do a signing, take your time. You're scheduled for, say, 2 to 3 hours. Take your time. Let the line build up. And I am paraphrasing, not word for word, but the whole gist of the pitch to help me, quote, help me, was there to say, take your time, take all the time with the fans. And then at the end of it, there's still a line. You turn to the promoter or the vendor and say, hey, brother, there's still a line. My time's up. Let's do 50-50 and split from this on. And the guy would be like, why? I paid you. Yeah, you paid me for 3 hours, brother. We're done. It's whatever, 2, 3, 4 p.m. And they would make extra money on top of that, because right then and there, what's the vendor going to do? They did agree for that 2 to 3 hour window or however long, and they need to fulfill the entire line. And a lot of times as time went on, those were prepaid ticket or combo prices or super VIPs or whatever they were. And that's why most times the vendor is really smart to keep that line moving. It's like a game of chicken. Like, I want to spend time with the fans, but I wasn't doing that. I'm still going to be like, hey, we got to move the line along. Hey, if you want to come back while I don't have a line, we can pick it up then. And I'm sure people like Shane I've seen do that too. Hey, got to sign this, but come back later, or after we're done, I'll be at the bar or be eating, and sit down and ask some questions or whatever. There's fan-friendly ways of taking time, but still moving that line along. But yeah, that's more prevalent, at least back when I was doing it. I don't know about today, but it was a real thing that there was more than a couple or 3 or 4 that would do that trick.
There was another one that actually I interviewed someone once, and they said, the video's out there, but I won't point it out too obviously, but somebody apparently with photos of them and Hulk Hogan would sign Hulk Hogan's name prior and claim it was Hogan who signed it, and then they would sign their name next to, you know, them as well and say, hey, look, you know, it's a double signature, go nuts kind of thing. But it's like, how prevalent did you find that, especially with the whole guard of just people signing other people's names?
Oh, that wasn't too prevalent, but I knew of wrestlers that actually took pictures with other wrestlers at the convention, and then the next convention they did, they had that picture, not signed. They didn't go that far, but here's a picture of me and this person, and they would buy it, and he would sign that. So That's innocent enough, but I used to watch them go around and get pictures, and it wasn't just one person. And then the next time they were there. And I felt bad because I'm like, they didn't ask me for a picture, so I guess I'm not a conversion.
Were these some of the older, like 80s WWF
God, yes.
superstar
Yeah,
kind of
100%.
things? Yeah. Okay. We're not talking about the young guard, are we? Or the
No,
younger...
no, I haven't been familiar with the young guard. They could have picked. There's always one or two carnies, no matter what generation. But I don't know because I haven't been in that bubble for, God, years.
What about like avoiding items on eBay? I mean, I know that's just like general good advice, I guess, claiming to be signed items and all that kind of thing. But I mean, what do you do? I mean, here's the thing, because you'll, I'm sure, as a lot of performers have done over the years, done like bulk signing, for like High Spots or other companies like that. So how can you ever tell that an eBay, signed signature kind of thing, signed merchandise is real or not?
Well, most times what they'll do is when you're signing the cards, they take a picture of you signing it, like a candid photo. And then, like, if it's a picture or a card, you hold it up. That's the authenticity. And they usually say, like, trading cards are the ones that are mostly bulk signings, like 100, 200, 300 trading cards. That will be the one where they say, this is one of 200 or one of 300. And usually it'll have that hologram type thing that you sign that may even have a number of however many. That would be kind of, there's no way of truly knowing. I mean, unless you've gotten a signature from that wrestler before and you can compare it, that's really the only way you would know. By the way, if you get mad at me for pointing out or bringing, not you, the wrestlers, if you are a wrestler, here's a little bit of advice. If you are a wrestler that comes up or emails me or messages me or openly gets mad that I said that scam goes on, you just indicted yourself as being guilty of the scam. A little bit of advice. No sell it.
Did you ever, and this was a promoter thing, or not necessarily a promoter, but other people who are trying to book you, and I've heard this in the industry as well, they'll book you for, once again, let's say trading cards, anything like that you can do in bulk, or 8x10s, and they pay you to do 500 signatures or whatever. And then when the time comes for you to sit down and do all the signing, you do 500, and whoops, there's an extra 1,000 in the box.
By the way, brother, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like almost 100% of the time. It's unfortunate because that's my big turnoff with that type of stuff. And this past WrestleMania, that was a couple bookings turned into, we're just going to have you come in for the one thing, then the whole weekend, then the Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I didn't even agree on anything, but you started moving the goalposts. To me, I don't play that game. It's just, I only got so much time and energy. I'm going to show up. I'm going to give my best effort. I'm going to try to give the best interactive experience with the fans that I can give. Just be fair, be reasonable. But no, it is a game of chicken once again, of how much can the wrestlers get out of the vendors, and definitely how much the vendors can get out of the wrestlers. Because think about it, like, they're trying to get everything they can and make their money back. I give it to them, but give the actual number of cards, the actual time. Sometimes the vendors will do that too. Hey, brother, can you stay an extra hour to still align? Even though you have not taken more than like one bathroom break and eaten nothing. You've worked hard for 3 hours, and now they're expecting you to do a fourth because, brother, come on, you're already here and all this. It's kind of like the old bookings. Like, if I got a local booking in Florida and the promoter says, well, I'm offering you much less because you don't have to fly, you don't need a hotel, you don't need a rental car. Well, yeah, but you don't have to pay for those expenses either. So what are we doing here? And I'm removed from that tap dance. They can keep it, as Tom Brady would say.
There's the usual thing, like someone taking a down payment and not turning up, I guess. But are there any other just promoter or wrestler or fan sort of switcheroos that you can just do without with these conventions that we've not brought up?
I mean, promoters used to actually switch the actual WWE people they would advertise for shows, not somewhat, maybe conventions. Like, I remember Mike Sparta, I've mentioned him before, with the Underfaker, the Fakerian, Fake the Clown. I was Fake Love instead of Dude Love. We had jokes for all, but he would literally promote it as the man from the dark side. He's from Boston. So,
I hope so.
Right,
without
yeah,
accent.
promoters do that all the time. If you would ask me who is the one that scams the most, the promoters or the wrestlers, it's 50-50. Actually, I would say, how about this? It's 45-45, and then there's 10% of wrestling fans that try to scam the wrestlers. Oh, they try to do it as well.
Right then, so we've got to go with weird fans and stalkers and professional quote-unquote fans then. When is it not appropriate for fans to come up to you and talk to you? What are your personal boundaries, I guess I'm asking?
Probably, I try to be friendly. I try to do whatever I can, but probably the only time where I would truly want to be immersed in what I'm doing. It's not so much eating at a restaurant, because usually I would drive anyway. I would avoid that hang up, and I just want to get to the next town, get to my hotel. And here's where the next part comes in: get up and go to the gym. When I'm working out, that's kind of, I have to focus. I have to avoid injury. I'm usually rehabbing an injury. I'm usually trying to get in better shape, stay in shape, do whatever I can. And that, to me, that's my only time where I'm disconnected from the entire world. And that's true to today. When I go out in the garage gym, it's my time. The phone's mostly, I think I text you back and forth, but mostly my phone's on do not disturb. I need to work out. Now, I'm not going to be like Randy Orton with that incident, although that guy kept approaching him, in all fairness.
I
Right?
just wrote that down in my script as well. Randy Orton incident, yeah.
Hey, we're right here. But I won't be that way, but I'd be like, please, I just want to work out. After I'm done, I'm going to get a shake at the juice bar. You can talk to me then. Is that cool? And sometimes fans will be like, no, that's not cool. I pay your salary and I can talk to you anytime I want. That's a toxic fan. And I won't say anything except, all right, that's cool. And usually what I would do is, even if I'm on cardio, I'll talk to somebody next to me. Even if I want to watch a movie or a football game or whatever to pass the time, I'm stationary. But if I'm moving, doing supersets or going to here, I just want to get it done. And then normally what would happen is you'll extend my workout from like 30 minutes to 45, where if you just let me get through the 30-minute workout, I'll give you 15 minutes of undivided attention as I drink my shake. Just a little bit of patience.
Well, how often would it happen then? So let's say WWF, I don't know, Stephen Richards, or whenever you'd most be approached, I guess, in that era. How often would you be approached in, let's say, a gym? What percentage of the time?
Well, for me, a good amount after I got into shape. And people would say, oh, you're a wrestler, you're in shape, what do you do? That's fine. But normally I would try to go to a completely different gym, but sometimes it'd be good to go to the gym with the boys, because if Triple H is there or other people, you're going to be left alone. You'd have Randy Orton wanting to beat a fan up that won't leave him alone, and I can get my set in. So that's, or Randy gets up to talk to the fan. I'm like, oh, he's not using that anymore. And I'll just start using the machine. But no, if I'm in an environment and I'm totally, I have self-awareness. If you have Triple H, Randy Orton, Goldberg, Kevin Nash, whoever else in the gym, you're not talking to me. I'm free and clear. I can get my workout in and I can be left alone. Maybe 2 to 3 times I've been really approached by fans that have been like, no, like the Rhea Ripley quote, no means no, but I didn't say no. I just said, not yet. Can I get my workout in? Then we can totally talk over here. So I would never say an absolute no, but there were 2 or 3 fans that were literally like, no, I want to talk to you now and you owe me. Okay, what do you want to talk about? What can you do at that point? Because what's going to happen is the Randy Orton thing. When Randy finally, after 3rd or 4th time of being poked and pushed and prodded, says something, and that's what gets on video or gets put out on the internet.
What's the weirdest place you've been recognized?
The weirdest place? All right,
Yeah.
This is a funny story. I hope it's funny, at least. It wasn't funny at the time. There was a time when I had my lung disease that I was being misdiagnosed. I had a lung disease towards the end of WWE and into TNA. I was on a ton of prednisone. My face was starting to get bloated. It was called the goofiest name ever, Boop. Back then, I don't even know. But I had a lung biopsy where my lung collapsed. I got 3 holes in this side of my of my body, but I was fighting that and trying to find out what was going on. And I lived in Connecticut at the time. One of the doctors falsely diagnosed me with TB. And when I had that, I had to go and report to the state that I had it because it's an airborne disease. It's contagious. I didn't know what I was going to do. And I just came off wrestling Vladimir Kozlov, who had been to Russia. And I didn't know if that was factored in because obviously you're sweating and these diseases can be transmitted very easily. So I go and I have to do the thing or whatever, go to town hall in my local city. And I got recognized in the office as I was registering that I had tuberculosis.
You could have been TB Richards.
Yeah.
But you didn't have TB.
What a dad joke that is.
I'm sorry.
No, I didn't.
Wow.
I had the TB would have been easier to cure than what I had, I think. So yeah, I had the thing, but that was probably the weirdest place that I was ever recognized. And literally I walked into the office, checked in. Oh my God, it's Stevie Richards. That loud. I'm like, ugh. This guy's on WWE. Do you have TB too? That's like EV2, TB2.
Hey, you're on TB.
Must see TB. TB night heat. Dad jokes for hours.
The jokes wear themselves out on their own, don't they? Last year, Rhea Ripley tweeted this. I've got something following up with Kevin Owens as well. People need to respect that no means no. At airports, do not follow me outside. Today has put me off completely. I will not sign anything that isn't a personal photo of us anymore. Hate me, I don't care. Disagree with me. Try putting yourselves in our shoes for one bloody day. And in an interview with USA Insider, she expanded on what she faced that day. I'm just surrounded by these 5 guys, not the burger place, and they're just hassling me. I don't think people understand how threatening that is, especially because you don't know what's going to happen. And very specifically as well, she's a woman being surrounded by 5 really pushy, I imagine, sweaty dudes in a place where if you try and physically react in any way, they'll throw you in federal prison.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good way of putting it. And it might be 5 or a bunch of guys that have no boundaries, which wrestling fans can be guilty of that through excitement or curiosity or downright just possible entitlement at this point. Yeah. By the way, I want to say you have a couple more quotes here and you have Kevin Owens. This doesn't help it either. The going out and putting on social media or being interviewed about it does not help. Just deal with it, do it, and go away. Remove yourself from the situation. In other words, this fans to flames of fans that are now for a novelty. Yeah, I'm going to try to get it, or I'm going to try to get a rise, or I'm going to point a camera in Rhea Ripley's face or Kevin Owens. Am I wrong?
Do you think
they see an opportunity?
Okay, I would have actually thought it would have curtailed stuff, but do you think basically if people haven't got boundaries before she said that, they'll have even less boundaries after?
The spike comes out in people and human beings.
Yeah.
That's my thought on it, because now it's a challenge. If I get this Rhea Ripley autograph at the airport, or there's Kevin Owens to sign a chair that I can put on eBay, I have a victory, and I go, ha ha, and I go there and do it. That's the way I've seen it. Like, it's almost like when you say don't do the thing, what's human nature? To do the thing.
Kevin Owens said a number of things, actually, that we're going to pick up on here, but here's the quote. What I do now at airports is I come, and when they're all waiting for their autographs, I just go, I don't sign at the airport, but I'll gladly take a picture with you. When I say that, 20 of them turn around. They're there to sell it on eBay. I don't really have a problem with that. I just got to the airport, I'm either tired or I've got to go to work. Like when we get to an airport and it's 5 or 6 people, okay, but nowadays we get there 40, 50 people. Okay. Did it get worse or better at certain times during your career in WWE?
It got progressively worse because the fans became more informed and aware, and the internet, obviously, and you know where they're going to be in town, and you know they're going to be at a particular airport. I'm not sure. I know professional athletes have their own planes and stuff, and they ride on the team planes, and they have a completely different terminal. But I would say, why can't the airports kind of be prepared for this? Because it also blocks and bogs down traffic in the airport too. And people, civilians outside of wrestling, are trying to get to work or get home or go to vacation. You'd think the airport security or other people would kind of handle that before the wrestlers come into town. This just proves that in general, people don't consider wrestlers in a lot of ways to have the same benefits as other professional athletes or actors or other things. But it's also a safety issue, it's a security issue, and also it's a foot traffic issue. You need to get people moving. You know, if you're in a baggage claim and there's 50 people blocking grandma trying to get to her grandkids, they do that. They won't move because this old lady is trying to get through, but I got to get Kevin Owens' autograph. So you got to wait. You've seen it. I've seen it, right?
Mm. With that being said, he also once again says some girls have told me like it almost gets scary, and he says I've seen it done to the girls, and that gets really creepy. I mean, if a big muscled up dude like at least most professional wrestlers are, and it shouldn't make a difference, I know, but like if you're like Liv Morgan, you're like 5'1", and you're surrounded by like 40, 50 guys trying to get your autograph, that could be really terrifying as well. I'm sure the other guys step in and everything, but some more quotes from Kevin Owens. Some of these, let's quote professional fans or boundary pushing fans, let's say, have started buying tickets to get across security.
Wow.
So they meet us at our gates, and those guys to me are like rotten. Like if you do that, you're an a-hole. And I told that to one of the guys recently as I was walking by him. He was at our gate and he was trying to get me to sign. I said, nope. He goes, well, Stone Cold doesn't have a problem signing. And I told him, okay, good for you. And he's like trying to talk stuff because he's at an airport, so he can do it. He knows nothing's going to happen to him. He would never do that in the street, you know what I mean? But like that just says a lot about that kind of people. And man, so what they're doing, just like buying the cheapest flight ticket, getting through security, and then hassling people the second they get off. It's crazy.
Yeah, and the only way they can recoup that is by doing what with the signatures, the autographs, the memorabilia. That is really right there. You can't stop somebody from buying a plane ticket, but man, that goes beyond the pale. I don't know. Kevin's got great points. But once again, I know it brings awareness, but I also think now you might set more of a target on yourself for somebody to take it as a challenge in order to do that. And it hurts it for the genuine fans that would just want an autograph or a picture to put on their wall or something, because now they get turned away because you can't differentiate the person that's the one-off fan and the person. Obviously, if someone at a convention has a big shopping cart of chairs and other stuff, and they're selling stuff and they go to every convention, or the fans that have the little shopping carts at baggage claim. Can you sign this? Can you sign this? Can you sign this? That gets a little perverse.
Have you ever fallen for that or been pressured into it and say, oh, okay then?
No, I was never a big enough star, and I'm fine with that. There's a certain piece that you get from being somewhere in the middle and being someone's underground favorite, or I like this guy because no one else thinks much of him, or I see something or whatever. I'm fine with it. For me, it just left to freedom. And that's why normally I would go to the baggage claim and be by an Undertaker or other people just for the sake of being left alone.
Is there, was it back in the day, I don't know if they still do, but WWE, maybe at certain points they were booking hotels or they would get like cheap rates at certain like Hiltons or something like that. So the benefit is you get cheaper rates. The downside is all the local fans know exactly what hotel you're going to be at and when you're going to get there as well. So, I mean, how do you navigate like having to check in at hotels and stuff with some of the pushy fans?
Oh, because they're not going to go to the hotels I stay at. They're not going to go to the
so
cheap
you never stayed at the Hilton
nope,
then? Or
never
anything?
stayed there. I stay there now because, obviously I'm married and I'm not going to go to the Red Roof or Motel 6. And it's for enjoyment, not for a, like Tesla, like, oh, I stay at the Marriott, it's a write-off. The write-off is not a tax credit. So I get the cheapest hotel. The Motel 6 is the Red Roof for me, like a big deal or anything like that. It was never the TV hotel, and it would never be the TV hotel. The only time I ever stayed at any hotels that the company paid for was WrestleMania week, which I paid for because they get their money back, or international tours. And with that being said, the international fans are usually really cool about that. They would be in the lobby, but they would wait. And if they saw you going to the gym, they wouldn't follow you. They'd be like, hey, when you come out from the gym, could you sign this for me? They were incredibly respectful in Europe. We were in Korea, Thailand, even Australia. They were really super cool. You know, anywhere outside the US, it's half and half. It's hit or miss. You know, these are the fans too that the wrestlers would party with in the bar. So it's a two-way street. It's a double-edged sword. You're bringing them in and they're buying you drinks. It's okay. But when they want all this other stuff, you can't have it both ways.
So let's get to the weirdest fan interactions now. I know you said the, TB one. Were there any fans that, like, I don't know if you've seen that episode of Friends where, who's the actress? I've just lost her mind. Brooke Shields. And she thinks that Joey's actually Dr. Drake Ramore, and she can't figure out how she's seen him in person and also on TV at the same time. Did you ever meet any fans who genuinely thought that you were the leader of Right to Censor, or you were genuinely like a doctor?
Well, the Right to Censor character definitely hit some raw nerves. So there were people that were not happy with me, but if you spend a couple minutes with me, and also I look different than I did back then it's not a big deal. I've never had that where I hate you so much, I want to fight you right now. Now, while I was doing the character, that's a different story. But we didn't do, like we talk about in WrestleMania, I didn't do any fan access or really any autograph signings. The only appearance I really made was the Opie Anthony thing at the River Rave, which was a whole different problem and lawsuit that I can't talk about. But no weird fan interactions, no sign my boob or anything like that. Very, very easygoing stuff. I don't know what it is about me, but people don't act like crazy when they meet me.
I said this to you before we started this, not this show, but the Stevie Richards show as a concept, and I always said, the charm, your particular charm is you're a fan. You're a fan who made it, kind of thing. You're not like, I'm not saying you're not unapproachable.
I'm not too cool for the room or too good for the thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you go to these conventions, you make money, but then when you've got a spare minute, you go take photos with other people. So, I mean, people can relate to that.
I don't sell them at the next convention, though.
No, exactly. Right, this what I even hesitate to bring this up, but let's just bring it up quick. There's a YouTube video out there, right, where apparently you yell at somebody. I'm not even going to give the name out, but the thing is, I watched it. It didn't seem that big of a deal at all, other than that someone was just filming you while you were at a convention trying to sell stuff. Was this the
Allentown one where I was Dr. Stevie, but you didn't see my face, and this kid just kept shouting Dr. Stevie, or you're Doctor this or that or whatever, and started yelling at me?
I think you were in the BWO show.
Yeah, I had a BWO with the 3. It wasn't the original one, and I just kind of looked at him like, I didn't hear him until that video came out. I was like doing this, like, what are you talking about? I can't hear you. He was literally like 40 to 50 feet away. And when you are at a convention, the acoustics and the noise are bleeding everywhere, right? So I was just like, what is he talking? He's yelling at me. I'm like, do I even know this dude? Is this somebody? And it was Allentown or something like that. I remember Terry Funk was there, Shane was there, Meanie and Nova and myself. And I'm just looking at him and I'm like, do I know this guy from the neighborhood, from Philadelphia? Because it was not too far from Philly. That's it. I thought he was saying Michael Manna, or I couldn't even hear him. Then it's all of a sudden like, oh, Stevie Richards gets annoyed with me or something. I'm like, what are you talking about?
It's crazy just how people just want to just be in any way just interact with somebody.
Well, that
and
goes
that's like
back
good enough for them.
But that's the airport thing. Oh, but no means no. Oh, really? Here, say no to me now, Rhea Ripley. That's everybody. Nobody's a fan anymore. Everybody is just in that vein, trying to get over. They're trying to be a worker. That somebody, I saw that video probably pop up about a year ago. And I'm like, I still don't know what this is about.
Are there any things that fans do which you would counsel them not to do when at conventions specifically? Because I think there's one thing that I'm going to mention. And I remembered an interview I did, and I started the interview because it was almost an inside joke, where it was with Headbanger Mosh, right? And I went, hello, da-da-da-da, and here was Headbanger Mosh, Chaz Warrington, how you doing, brother? And the first thing he went, brother like that at me, because we were talking beforehand, and he just said, I've never called anyone brother in 30 years in this business. And for some reason, I think a lot of fans call wrestlers brother because they hear the Good Brothers say it, or, just like out of character kind of things, and they sort of like try and affect like some of the wrestling lingo.
Well,
do you notice that?
Well, I got one that, and this is actually repeated multiple times, and I don't know why. My buddy Donovan Morgan, somebody out there in Arizona, had said to one of his friends, and this actually happened to me at a convention, which was weird. It's so how the hell that could repeat itself. But basically, this kid said it, and the person who walked up to me as I was signing and was next in line, and he's like, "Hey, you remember when Chris Masters broke your face?" I was like, "Yes, I do." He's like, "Dude, that was so funny." And then just walked away. Didn't even get an autograph or a picture. He just wanted to tell me that he thought it was funny. I had my face caved in. And I didn't get mad. I was like, cool. I think that's what he was going for, but whatever.
Yeah.
I think what they're doing too, sometimes fans will try, if I say this to him, am I going to get him to react? Am I going to get him to sell? More importantly, am I going to throw him off for the rest of the day? Or am I going to throw this off? Or am I going to hijack the signing or whatever? There's no good reason to say those kinds of things, but you're there. And this is another point. If you want to get into, I have certain rules. You have WWE rules on signings, but I have my own rules that I adhere to with myself that I think makes somewhat of a difference with fans, because those kinds of things, when that thing happened, and I'll get into the rules next, when that thing happened, I was not doing the thing that I said I would do. And I think that's partially why. A little bit of a tease.
There's one more thing that I want to bring up, actually, that I just thought about. What's the one thing I've never called you, Stevie?
By my real name.
Yeah. Do some fans call you by your real name to sort of like prove they're smart? Just like, I never did that with Shane. I never did. Dutch is Dutch to me. I know his real name's Wayne, and Shane's real name's Troy.
See, I didn't know Dutch's real name was Wayne because I don't care. He's Dutch Mantel to me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but the thing is, I don't know if that's the kind of thing that some fans do, like to try and prove that they're inside or knowledgeable or something like that. But I mean, does that bother you? It might bother some people, but does it bother you specifically?
No, and nobody really calls me Michael because my middle name is Steven. So it's kind of my real name. Very few people even call me Michael, except for my wife who calls me Babe. So we have names for each other like that. There's very few people that even call me my real name anyway that I interact with. So it doesn't bother me. Now, if somebody from the neighborhood was there and I recognize them, like, hey, Michael Manna, there you are. They call me Mikey. Some of them, I know I'm going to get Mikey comments in the, now that I said it, I regret it. But, I might even put it in the lower third at the opening of the show or whatever. But no, but that's the thing. You get, now at first, early in the 90s, you're talking about the 90s when there was still some sort of kayfabe and somebody knew your real name and was trying to put your real name out there, that as a heel, when some people still believed it, that's touch and go. But the convention circuit wasn't a really big thing for me when I started, so it wasn't like I was exposed to that. But yeah, I mean, when you go there and people do that, now I'll get to the thing if you want me to, some of my rules that I have.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's my rules. Number one, put your best foot forward, your best face on. Don't be a phony about it, but go into it with the right attitude that this is a gift. This is literally passive income. This is free money. This is gas and groceries. This is on top of what you make doing whatever you're doing right now. And it's a blessing that people in wrestling, and especially outside, would kill to have this kind of payoff for doing absolutely nothing when you think about it. Number two, the logistics of it, bring enough water. For me, sometimes bring tea so you can talk and your voice doesn't go out and you don't get a migraine. Make sure you take breaks throughout the thing so I can freshen up and still look my best. So an hour, 2 or 3 or 4, hair starts to get frizzy, other stuff starts to happen. I want a bathroom break. I'm going to freshen up. I'm going to brush my teeth after I eat. I'm going to make sure that I look, the hygiene's there, all that stuff. It's little things, but I want to give the best experience that I can. If it's in a hot ballroom in a hotel, you're starting to sweat. Sometimes I even bring a change of shirts just to keep. I mean, there's the little things, but the attention to detail where I don't look like a slob, I don't act like a slob or any of that other stuff are very important. Now, there's one thing I do that can wear people out really quick, but for some reason, I looked around. I never liked, and this is when that person said the thing to me about getting my face caved in. I never liked sitting down and having the fans over me. It makes me feel like I'm in a vulnerable position. I would stand the entire time. Now, sometimes I would sit down if I wanted to drink something, but the minute a fan came up to me to interact, I'd stand up and stop what I was doing. I'd sign standing up, and normally I'd take a picture with them, which means I would walk around the table, take the picture, and sometimes there'd be a line of 20 people, and I would stay on that side of the table, standing up and showing, and they'd be like, dude, you're a lot bigger than I thought. So right there, I'm in control of the situation. It's a minor thing, but psychologically, I am not vulnerable. You're not standing over me. I'm face to face with you. I'm looking you right in the eye. You know, I'm not like Ric Flair, sorry. I will look you right in the eye. I will talk to you. I will shake your hand, not like the wrestler brother with the little thumb and index finger. I'm shaking your hand like I'm shooting on you. That's it. To me, that puts it in more of I'm engaged on a positive. I am engaged. I'm not sitting here doing this, looking down. I'm fully engaged. I'm in the moment and I'm handling it like a professional. And there's no table between us. I'm talking to you as if I'm right in front of you, which I am. I think people appreciate that.
Now then, I think that you were cynical. You were cynical when I was going to base an episode on conventions, but you know what? I'm already going to say we've got more to talk about in this episode. I'm going to say that was a great bunch of segments there.
Thank you very much.
So
the only reason
I don't think people hear that.
The only reason that I was sort of vetoing it for a bit was because not only I didn't think we had enough to talk about, but I just didn't think that people would be interested in it. And I hope I'm wrong, because now that we're talking about it, there's so many Easter eggs and little things. And actually, we overthink and we overanalyze. That last thing I just said was me reading the room of a convention for multiple appearances over the years and saying, how can I take away my nervousness, my insecurity? How can I feel in control of the situation? And also, how can I interact with the fans differently than any other wrestler out there? And that's how I came to that conclusion of setting those rules up for myself.
Absolutely, and fine words for any prospective future wrestlers who are thinking of doing conventions as well. Definitely own the room, I guess, to a point, is I think what it is, because, hey, you're supposed to, I suppose. You know,
you give the room up to the fans. You give the floor to the fans, but you listen, I'm a product, I'm a service to the wrestling fans in these conventions, right? The product is me, the service is me signing, taking a picture, and giving them a moment or a memory, hopefully, that they'll remember. Like Shane, I do the same thing. I'm like, for some reason, if somebody came up and had a signature and then I saw them at the restaurant or I'm walking out and they walk by, I can remember names. And I'm really, really blessed and grateful for that, because if somebody remembers my name, even now in general interactions in the world, I'm like, that's cool. They remember my name. So imagine a wrestling fan that can walk away. And also, I'm very aware, hyper aware, that you could get a Ric Flair or Jake Roberts or somebody or anybody that's having a bad day, and maybe I can turn it around for you. That's a responsibility of each and every person at those conventions.
So, from buying tickets to conventions, we're going to be talking about WWE's ticket prices. I've been banging the drum a little bit about this, quite frankly. Some of the prices they're charging. On one hand, you can call them outrageous. On the other hand, they're selling them. So, are they outrageous because if they were just, if seats were empty, then they'd be outrageous, but they're not. SummerSlam 2025 prices came out. So this was the press release. I'm going to read most of it anyway. Confirmed with on location and WWE Elite Plus package prices for front row floor centers on the TV side for SummerSlam at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. They are $40,000 per ticket. And before I even carry on, they're already mostly sold out. Here's what you get out of it. Premium front row seating. I hadn't realised that it was dog crap front row seating as well. They've got differentiating.
That's a Dixie
premium.
Carter. Now this is the over shug. These are the under seats shug.
What? You have to explain.
Oh yeah, that's our TNA episode.
Right. Okay. Under seats shug.
Well, actually,
Thank you.
the under, yeah. I'll remember the under and over shug.
Very good. Right, so in-ring photo, SummerSlam private transportation to a taxi, elite welcome event, whatever that means, pre-show hospitality with Kevin Nash and more. Keep in mind that Kevin Nash charges about $80 for a photo and picture. Sorry, photo and autograph, the same thing. At convention, so it's a lot cheaper if you just want to go for Kevin Nash. Post-show stuff, press conference access, and desktop op, I guess. Desk photo op. Tickets to both nights of SummerSlam, because now SummerSlam is 2 nights, which you helpfully reminded me of. Thank you very much. Tickets to SmackDown and Raw. The non-center front row is an elite package currently priced at $32,500. So if you want to advertise whatever it is on your T-shirt, you need to spend an extra $7,500 to be on camera side the entire way through the event. So you told me this. What was WrestleMania's front row season? What, 38?
No, you had told me because of the ATV woman, the ATV Karen, that she had paid $15 per night.
Yeah. So she told Randy Orton during a pre-show interaction, I guess, and photo opportunity, $30,000. And even Randy Orton, who has got to have 8 figures in the bank with all the many years he's worked in WWE, even he was just aghast and went, I had the quote somewhere. He basically quote, man, that's embarrassing how much they're charging.
Yeah, but these tickets are more.
These tickets are more. I mean, I know you get Raw and SmackDown with it, but,
Hey, what about that CM Punk promo in AEW on MJF? Do you remember that?
Vaguely. Remind me.
He made fun of the fact you can go to WWE and you can get a 2-for-1 2-night spectacular or a free ticket. He made fun of the fact that they did that, but now he's a part of that. So it's pretty
He's
fun.
the main event of one of those nights.
Yes.
In fact.
Dude. By the way, people want the review show on SummerSlam.
I know. If we don't do an extra show, if we just do it like on the regular Wednesday thing, fine. We can't turn it around that quick.
I believe in Chris. Say his name and he'll edit.
I don't believe in me.
Say his name and he'll edit.
He texted me at 3:30 in the morning saying I'm about done. I was like, good. Thanks for waking me up. Floor seats, several rows back at WrestleMania were $10,000 to $15,000. Hulk Hogan's Real American Beer private box was $9,000. Ended up being cancelled. The only thing that you got for it was basically a photo opportunity where Hulk Hogan came to the suite and took a photo with you. But they sort of wrote it like it was Hulk Hogan was going to be there throughout the show watching it with you. And that was like an extra $5,000, $4,000, $5,000 premium, basically just for a photo op. Half-decent seats to WWE Raw or SmackDown. A taping will run a family of 4. And this isn't not a huge show or anything, not fantastic seats. That'll run you $2,000 just for a day out. I mean, that's people's monthly savings and more for a lot of people,
Yeah.
After, taxes and everything else.
But
It's a lot of money.
now here's what's interesting. You covered the AEW thing in Australia with the tickets being reduced from an exorbitant price to still an expensive price. WrestleMania started in the nosebleeds of 1,000, but then they dropped towards the pay-per-view time, correct?
They did, yeah. At the last day or two, they did drop the price a little bit for some of the less good seats. Well, all you're going to be doing, I mean, I'm sure it was in the 3 figures, all you're going to be doing is still staring
so
at the
just watch it
screen
at
the
home,
entire time.
subscribe, right? Do your thing.
Yeah. So the thing with the AEW Australia Grand Slam thing is that they'd sold tickets on the basis that it was going to be a stadium show, and then when not enough tickets had sold, they moved it to an indoor arena. But then they reshuffled seats. So some people who paid for floor seats ended up being in the first tier, or worse seats essentially than they would have got. So that's its own issue that I think we covered at the time. But with WWE, I'm just sort of thinking, how much longer is this going to continue, or is it going to continue in perpetuity with people still paying this amount? Because it's obscene, some of these prices now.
I don't understand. It's not exclusive to WWE. NFL charges ticket prices, season ticket prices, licenses, the right to buy season tickets. They did that in MetLife Stadium, I think, for the Giants and the Jets. You have to pay for the license, the seat license, to get the tickets. So it's not just WWE, but the market.
What's the difference? What's the
You're
difference?
paying for the right to pay for the seat, was my understanding. A seat license.
Okay, that's novel.
I could be wrong, but either way, it's a lot of money, and the market is bearing it right now. You just said they're mostly sold out. So who are we to say? I'll tell you, $8 Patreon's a lot more affordable. But that's me promoting it. Dude, the people are going to buy it. I don't understand. I've never been going to I'm a huge Philadelphia Eagles fan, but I would never go to see them play at the Super Bowl when I could watch it at home in the comfort of my own living room and do whatever I want for free. Or these pay-per-views, why not just pay for the Netflix or the standalone pay-per-view and sit in the comfort of your own home, buy stuff. Hey, you could probably book an independent wrestler to watch it with you, your favorite Joe Hendry or somebody else to watch it with you. It's mind-boggling. I don't know. We keep asking this question in the past few years. How much more can people spend before it's over? But it's not our right to say. Good on WWE for selling these tickets. But I think just like WrestleMania with the prices, and especially The Rock not even showing up, whatever happens here will be a good litmus test to see how the fans feel burned by WrestleMania.
My theory was, and I'm probably wrong about this, is because I was actually looking back at cards that you actually get on Raw or SmackDown. And, a family of four isn't going to spend, if they know what the card is in advance, and some of these cards are not a big deal at all. You look at they look like, B-Town house show cards, a lot of them kind of thing. So, obviously, you're going to the event, you're going to WWE, and then whatever they give you, I guess. But, just as an example, and once again, I have to say this, I make good money what I do. You make good money what you do. We're not hurting for a bit of money here. To be absolutely frank, I spent $140 on a ticket to go see WWE, and there were great seats as well. And I was still upset with myself because I thought I was a total rip-off. I will never get rid of the skinflint tight arse that I am because I grew up unbelievably poor. So, that will never leave me. So, but, who are all these people who... Is it almost becoming like a stature thing now? Like going to the boxing or
like
going to the
flex.
UFC?
They say flex over here.
Yeah. Basically like a flex to the point of going, the point of paying these exorbitant prices is to prove that you can pay the exorbitant prices.
It's no different than people. I used to live in the Atlanta area, and I'm the same as you. I still, when I pick up, a package of meat or whatever, I'm comparing to see how I could save and get the most amount of meat for the price. We have disposable income, but the reason why we do is because we live well below our means. And I grew up the same way. Every month was kind of holding your breath. We're going to get thrown out of the house. We're going to have enough food. And that was great. I'm so thankful for that because it gave me that fear in order to have a plan to try to have the disposable income that I'll never spend. I think it might be a flex, but I also think WWE does an excellent job marketing and promoting and making these feel bigger and larger than life. The thing that hurts the pay-per-views, and I said this before, you might say the quality of Raw and SmackDown in these shows and pay-per-views that aren't as notable as the Big Four.
Well, I'm not saying the quality of the show so much, but if you just look at the card itself, yeah.
What I'm saying is that's not true. The match quality and the match big fight matches that you're getting them every week. So SummerSlam, WrestleMania, the Rumble, Survivor Series, and all the ones in between do not feel special anymore. I just said on the last episode or the one before, Elimination Chamber had sort of more of a WrestleMania feel in some ways. They've bled across all these TVs and pay-per-views. They made the international TVs feel WrestleMania-like too. Do you see what I mean? Nothing feels special. But man, these prices they're charging like this is like WrestleMania 6, Hogan and Warrior type, never seen before type stuff. Like a Tyson fight back in the day.
Yeah, and it's actually like Io Sky versus Lyra
Well,
Valkyria.
it's actually like your old Superstar Challenge, Murder Hour.
Hey, well, at least the matches were quicker, and it was over in an hour. I love Superstars. There's now I don't know if there's rumors going. Well, there are rumors going around. There's always a guy in the front row for these shows in a green, bright, phosphorescent green T-shirt and a cap and a little goatee, and everyone, because now we all know. Not that, I mean, you could have found it out anyway, but it's like $30,000 for front row seats or $40,000 for front row seats. It's like, man, is he like a software magnate or something? He must be a billionaire pretty much, especially to, afford all these kinds of things. And also, you sent me the video of like a YouTuber. We've got a run-in, by the way.
Yeah, I was going to say,
who also spent.
I'm the evil guy with his cat. I'm like the Bond villain who charges $40,000 for it. They'll pay it. They won't pay it, boss. Yes, they will. Isn't that right, Mr. Isn't that right, Mr. Cupcake? It's Pokey, actually.
Do you know what's weird is that, like, ever since COVID happened and everything shut down for about a year or so, was that, there were no live events, and then slowly live events started happening again. But the ticket prices got jacked up hugely because the theory was, well, Ticketmaster and all these promoters and everything were going out of business, so we've got to recoup our losses that way. And then basically, I think what they found out now is that, hey, people are now paying this. So if they're willing to accept this, will they accept a little more? And it's the same with music gigs. It's the same with everything. Ticket prices the last 4 or 5 years have just gone nuts.
Well, it's homes, it's cars, it's prices of anything. It's not exclusive to wrestling. Will the market bear the price? If they did this and they weren't selling up until the day before, I would guarantee you Survivor Series would not have $40,000 tickets. The fans say everything's fine. The fans say the prices are fine with us. They sold out stadiums 2 nights. Or the same stadium 2 nights of WrestleMania. They've done nothing. It's kind of like the antithesis of what The Rock said about Elimination Chamber. You made a great point. Then this is the only show not selling tickets then. And you had said they were selling tickets in Toronto. So until you get the tarps and everything else coming back for TVs and pay-per-views, these prices will not change. And that's just the way it is. But for some people, this is, I guess, just such a once-in-a-lifetime experience, which it's actually a once-a-month experience, if you think about it. Who are we to say? It's a free world to some extent.
Hey, it's free it's free enterprise. I get that.
I caught you with that one, didn't I?
More, I don't know, is it? It's free enterprise and that kind of thing. That's absolutely understandable. But do you think that because WWE do so few shows now compared to when they were running house shows and everyone was on the road 5 days a week, that now this is a more sustainable model because they really only show up in a state twice a year, maybe?
Here's what I would say. Now, this is just me. I'm not a businessman like Ari Emanuel or The Rock or anybody like that. But wouldn't you think that the advertisement, because they advertise, please, I got to stop. This is my plea each and every week. Maybe I'll put it in the lower third. Bring back the Cinnamon Toast Crunch mascot. I demand it. You pay $40,000 for a front row seat. You need to see the mascot. He needs to come back. I'm a big advocate for him. But you would think, don't the advertisements and the sponsors and the mat and the LED boards for each individual match, not the pay-per-view. The pay-per-view has an overall advertiser, right? Each match has an individual sponsor. Wouldn't you think that would subsidize the cost and you could lower the ticket prices and really have standing room only in a stadium?
You'd think, wouldn't you? Hey, do you know that Logan Paul offered Steve Austin $1 million to dress up as the Prime bottle.
And
at
Austin
WrestleMania
absolutely
10.
said no.
He said absolutely not.
You understand that Steve Austin, $1 million, like he probably has $1 million royalty check that he forgot to cash like Punk did. So $1 million is not a lot to him, especially that's one guy right up there with Taker, super protective of his spot. And he continues to be super protective of his spot. That proves to me too that he really believed in Kevin Owens as a talent and really liked him to come out of retirement and wrestle a high level match. Let's not forget about that. So Logan Paul, you got to add like maybe 3 to 4 more zeros and he would still say no. Good for you, Steve. I admire that. By the way, I fit nicely with my elongated square head and everything in a Prime bottle. Just saying.
$1 million.
Oh yeah, I'll split that. Will you give me $1 million? We'll split it.
Hey, I'll take it. I'll be your Jeff, whatever a Jeff is.
And we
I'll hang
still
about.
wouldn't buy these SummerSlam tickets.
No, I still wouldn't buy the SummerSlam ticket. Just one more thing. Obviously, we say free enterprise. People are paying it, so that's why the prices are so high. The only thing that really bugs me about this ultimately is that it's pricing out so many. Look, wrestling's meant to be blue collar, man. It's for the working classes. It's what it is. It's always what it has been. I think just the over corporatization of WWE, especially when WWE came under the TKO umbrella, is that now just absolutely everything is bottom line. You know, from selling the ring canvas to advertising and all that kind of thing. And I just think, a lot of kids are missing out. On their first WWE experience, they watch it on TV, they love it, they want to go see it live. Hey, we couldn't afford tickets back in '99. So how, a lot of families these days, meant to go see their first, have their first, wrestling experience, I guess. And that's something that some people just miss out on, which is a shame.
You know who can benefit from this? And this is just actually a suggestion to independent wrestling promotions to put on the best family show you can put on. Try not to be like a GCW and have all the blood and guts, but a generally good family show and advertise it as an affordable alternative. Use these $40,000 tickets and these exorbitant pay-per-view prices to say for a family of 4, like minor league baseball says family of 4, we have these packages. You get hot dogs, you get sodas, you get all this stuff for like $50. And they fill up the stadium with it. Imagine an independent wrestling promotion taking advantage of this and giving an experience to a family, to kids, to let them interact with the wrestlers and make sure you get wrestlers that will interact positively with the fans, especially children, and give them a good, not 7-hour, 14-match show TV taping, a 1.5 to 2 hour show where they start at 7:30, out by 9:30, kids in bed by 10:30 on a Saturday. End of story. Give them a little taste. Hey, give them season passes to the 4 or 5 shows you run per year. Bring the value. There's an opportunity in this. There really is. TNA should take advantage. I think AEW should. You should be the anti-price gouging wrestling promotion.
Now, I saw you looking at your watch then, and I know normally we're done by this time, so it's 4 p.m. now. We're normally done recording.
Oh, no, I
know
looked
your
because
wife's
I
there.
Apple Watch. I know it's very.
Oh, right.
It's not very courteous.
Because you're waving at your wife as well off camera
No,
as well.
she
So
just
I know you
said
want to
hello.
say
She's
hello.
working from. Hey, it's better than your Juventud Guerrero story. Yeah, what was that, James?
No, Jungle Boy.
Jungle Boy. Oh, sorry, Hoovy. He has a whole.
No, the Juventud Guerrero story is probably more
That's the
revolting
hotel
than
in
that, I guess.
Australia. Gee, Jesus was coming for him, man.
Right, so we've got 2 more things left. We can't do what went wrong this week without referring to something that very, very much went wrong, and that is Leon Slater and TNA. It was X Division match on the TNA Rebellion pay-per-view that happened this past weekend, and unsurprisingly, I'm sure you'll find out, Stevie, it was a dive that somehow went half right and half completely wrong. So, bearing that in mind, over to you, Stevie. What went wrong?
Well, thank you, James. We're staying with what the fans, our audience, had suggested that I do not watch this previous. We mentioned it earlier. So this is a live reaction. I have not seen this clip at all. I literally just transferred from Dropbox on my computer to the smart board here. So let's start. Hey, they got a really good house right here, man. Lots of people.
Yeah, they actually beat a lot of AEW shows as of recent. I need to find out the attendance, in fact.
Is this Vegas during WrestleMania weekend?
I don't think so. If you bear with me 1 minute, I'll find out. But yeah, do you want to talk us through what's happening, especially for the audio listeners, which we do neglect somewhat, I apologise,
Sure.
for these video segments.
I do like also, these are the commentators down here. Like at least two of them down there in the corner that I'm circling. That's a great place to put like the commentators right there at ringside. Really cool. All right, let's play this.
Now, I'm going to suggest if you pause it
good
here,
Lord. Oh, no.
that's got to be 16 feet.
Oh, my God. I don't like that. This is what I don't like, though. Everybody get ready to catch them. Get ready to catch. Now, who are these guys? Is that Matt Cardona here? Or is that a different
Yes,
guy?
his name's going to be coming up a couple of times in this. It's Casey Navarro, Leon Slater, Matt Cardona, Vikingo, and Sidney Akeem.
This arena looks great, by the way. There's the commentators, right? Right down there.
Yeah.
That's a great look. That almost looks more AEW than AEW, doesn't it?
Yeah, it looks more like a bit Collision, with the reds and blacks.
It does. It does. Okay.
So we're thinking a crowd of just around 5,000.
I think right here,
actually.
he's looking, and also he's looking up to God and praying, and he's thinking, this is much harder than I thought. Look at that. He's right up there with the box truss. The lighting. Oh! Can somebody catch this dude? That was good for a hook, right? Oh my God. There's the look. You okay, brother? Well, you didn't catch me. Like he's looking at him and he's just like, oh my God. Let's go back. They kind of like that, right? Like I'll catch you, but I'm getting out of the way. Disco wouldn't even been there. Disco would have been on the other side of the ring. Could have just walked away.
It's almost like, when people dive at Samoa Joe and he just walks off.
What's Matt doing? Is he giving a shoulder rub to the other guy?
Yeah, that's what I want to point out. Of all the people who were supposedly trying to catch him, Matt Cardona's like 10 feet away from where he should be.
Matt Cardona was literally there. And then when he did it, we'll go slow motion. Come on, man. Is this top dollar right here?
No, I don't think. I'm sorry. I think I'm wrong. It's Sidney Akeem.
That dude should be the guy catching him first and foremost. The biggest dude. That's Ace Austin right there with the red hair, right? Am I wrong? Probably.
So who's there is Casey Navarro. I think that might be Casey Navarro. Leon Slater. Moose, who's in the background. He should really be doing the catching, I guess, Moose.
The two biggest guys need to be where the torso and head are going and everything and catch. They should be there, and the guy should come down in the middle of them and catch on both shoulders. So, dude, it's tough. And I can have no doubt they're looking up, he's looking down, and it's so much higher than anybody could have guessed. And he's coming down with velocity. Little pun there. Slow-mo, it doesn't look that bad. But now that this dude is checking on him right there, everybody who goes and puts their face in the mat and rolls towards him, he's still looking at him like, oh my God, he hit. And there it goes.
This is Hell in a Cell height.
Yes, it is.
16 foot. I mean, and he's just landed face first in the mat. It's incredible. As an incredible, that reports are that he wasn't hurt.
And the funny thing is, all the fans are, this is awesome, fight forever, laughing. There's only one dude right here. I think his natural reaction was, I think that dude, unless he's overacting, because he's got his TNA World Championship belt right there. I have my two off camera. But yeah, Man. What was the commentary for? They did the replay to say nobody caught him, but did they say anything?
I just sent you the video. I wasn't really paying attention to commentary, but a lot of screaming, I'm sure.
Okay, I want to say this right here. Selling, for some reason, he wasn't even anywhere near it. Selling, and where's the kid? This is the kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
Selling, not selling. He really hit for real. Oh, man, that is terrible. He got up. He got up. Come on. Oh, my God, it broke my back. I would say, come on and catch me, you sons of bitches. Oh, well, pro wrestling.
That's the sympathy factor gone.
Make fun of Disco Inferno all you want. He is the smartest guy in all these groups of people. He is nowhere. Disco would be up here doing the old Alex Wright or his dance or anything up on the stage away from all this.
So, Ricky Morton posted on Twitter, I'm disappointed.
Wait, stop right there.
Oh, please.
It still blows my mind when you say something like Ricky Morton posted on Twitter.
I know. Hey, no, he's well up enough. I'm disappointed Leon gave you his trust and body on the line for an amazing moment, and all of you dropped him. Thank God he walked away. In our business, trust is everything, and his trust may never be the same. That's okay. Does that get chalked up to misplacement of where you think he's going to land, or does that amount to malpractice almost for not catching the guy?
Well, how can you be misplaced? You're in the line of the dive. No, they shrugged it off. They chickened out of catching him. By the way, no fault in that. You look up, Hell in the Cell or more height, he's coming down with velocity. But if you're not sure or somebody's not, you always have, you talked about Bubba Ray earlier. We talk about Tommy Dreamer, other people. You want the biggest guys that can resist the impact of the dive. And you assist those guys, but those are the main guys that are offering up the block from hitting the floor, the obstacle. So Ricky Morton is absolutely right. I am going to say what Moose said. I'm going to quote this and then we'll comment on it. So Ricky Morton is absolutely right. Moose, I don't get. It's tone deaf. Fans who have never stepped into a ring, let alone burn a single calorie or done anything active, want to chime in on Leon's dive. Old and current wrestlers also want to chime in on, like, here we are, the old time podcasters again, also want to chime in on Leon's dive like they have never ever messed up or made a mistake. Everyone just need to zip it. It's shushing face emoji. And I had an emoji in that.
But there's two things here. It's like, one, it was ridiculous. Like, it will live forever. People will forget about it in a couple of weeks because there's so many of them. So that's wrong. Two, the whole, people who never stepped into a ring. You don't need to step into a ring to realise that's ridiculous. A thing to say. And three, nobody caught him, including Moose. He's like the biggest, strongest guy there. He should be the guy catching him.
I don't know what Moose is trying to do except, whatever. He's wrong. Ricky Morton's right. Ricky Morton didn't put it in a way where he's like, you dumb Fs, like Dutch or Jim Cornette or somebody would curse somebody out about not doing that. But this is why Disco Inferno does not catch people, because he cannot do it well. And also, we just saw it. It's absolutely stupid to stand there and wait for somebody. It exposes the business. They're standing there holding by the way, they're all holding each other. They're all holding each other as I bring this back up. They're holding each other to create the big wall for him to dive on. Didn't you get that sense?
Mm.
You are in position. It's not a misplacement. You guys just whiffed on it. That's fine. The dude's okay, but should this dude ever trust anybody to catch him again? My answer is no. What's so hard about it to understand about this, Moose? And I personally like Moose every time I've been around him, but you're wrong. You're not even defending the guy that dove in a way. Ricky Morton's saying, thank God he's okay, but you guys whiffed. You didn't catch him. You can think you did. You can think you were there. You can think you parted like the Red Sea and this dude hit the floor. Let's not call it anything else.
Do you think there's anything like
I'm tired
the
of being
bystander
called an
effect
old
to this?
wrestler. That's 2 times in 1 week.
Yeah. No, hang on. No, Triple H is older than
I'm
you.
not tired of being called an old wrestler.
Grizzled veteran. Is there something like the bystander effect? The more people there waiting to catch you, the more likely that nobody will. Do you know what I mean?
Sure as hell seems that way. It's like subtraction by addition or something weird thing. This business is all about protecting your opponent before yourself. Your opponent before yourself. What's so hard to understand? James, you and I are working. You protect me, I protect you. It cancels out in a positive way. It's the ultimate trust fall or trust dive in this example. I don't get it.
Just to, once again, I always like to say an old Dutch story. Owen Hart once asked Dutch if he could jump on him from the top rope onto the floor, and Dutch went, "You kidding? I could get hurt. I'm not doing that." So he begged out of it, and then his tag partner, Larry Latham, who I think was Moondog's spot at the time, before that time, or maybe it was Moondog's spot there, said, "Oh, don't worry, I'll do it." Anyway, Owen dived on him and broke his arm. So there you go.
Wow. Okay. What did Dutch? Dutch had to walk by and had a passing remark after that.
Yeah, told you. It's, right, we're going to move on from that because this sort of goes on to, once again, injuries and that kind of subject, I guess. And it's really Bryan Danielson. So he was over in the UK to watch the kids of Chris Eubank and Nigel Benn fight. Great boxing match. My brother watched it. I forgot to watch it, but he said it was a great boxing match as well. Anyway, Bryan Danielson was there doing some press, promoting AEW shows coming up later in the year in London, I think, as well. And he was asked by the Metro if there was any chance of him coming back to wrestling. So if you remember Stevie back in the day, or back last year, the idea was that Bryan would get neck surgery, he'd heal up a year, and then occasionally he'd just wrestle, a few times a year, as and when, if his body was holding up, all that kind of thing. But now he's not having the surgery. He doesn't want the surgery. He's trying to get by without the surgery. Same as Sting some years prior, because neck surgery is, if nothing else, a huge commitment. It's a very long recovery period. It's no fun whatsoever, but, sleeping in a neck brace and everything else that goes along with it. And any surgery is inherently dangerous. So his busted up neck and everything, this is what he says to if he's going to come back.
I don't want to put that label on it, and I've even said, in promoting Forbidden Door, I said, people have asked me, are you going to be wrestling on the show? And I'm like, 95% chance no. But the reality is that, say if you have a big main event and something happens where somebody gets hurt or something like that, and Tony says, hey Bryan, we really need you for this thing. Is there something you could do? And yeah, there's something I could do. I just have to be careful not. Yeah. And so, but I mean, like, one of the things there's ways to work around it, right? Yeah. But you just can't do it all the time.
Later on in the interview, I didn't copy and paste the rest of it, so I'm going to have to do it by memory, I'm sorry, is that he says that the last 6 months when he was working with John Moxley and Swerve and everyone like that were among the most painful months, most difficult wrestling months he's ever had in his life. That being said, he's surely set for life. His health would be on the line if he tried to wrestle again without the neck surgery and optimum healing time. So why is he not saying he's retired?
Well, because we're still all marks for it and we still want to go out the way we want to go out. I feel like it was very flat the way he went out this past time, right? It wasn't like a big Terry Funk retirement tour or anything like that. The AEW didn't make it special. So maybe he's saying that's not the way I want to go out. Let's go back a few years. You talk about the neck, you talk about the spinal issues. What about the concussions? Remember, he was never going to wrestle again in WWE, and he did the hyperbaric chamber, he did all these different modes of recovery and rehab, and he did get back in the ring. But that's a real thing to worry about too, is the concussions and all the head trauma that he had at that one point. That was why he retired and became SmackDown GM, correct?
Yeah, for a while. I think it took him like 4 or 5 years for WWE to clear him again.
Yeah.
And he was constantly battling to get back into the ring as well. And
well, it sounds like the battle's starting again.
Yeah. You said before, earlier in this show, you said, if you were going to, not that you were going to get back in the ring, but, if you had a sabbatical, it would take you 2 weeks worth of house shows for your body to get, calloused up enough to even get used to hitting the ropes again. I mean, it's got to be 10 times worse for Bryan if he goes back.
I think it is, but then you're that thin line. You get in the ring and take bumps with no crowd, no adrenaline, no energy, just flat and quiet. That hurts 10 times worse. It's almost better to get right back in the ring on some shows to warm up. It's hard to say. I said that about the Cena thing. Wrestle too much or wrestle too little. What's the Goldilocks effect of that, or the Goldilocks zone of doing that? I don't know. All I can say is when he starts, I can interpret this my own way. So when he's talking about, yeah, I could do it, but I have to be careful. But there's times where I can't be careful. Do you see how he was kind of half in and out and back in again? So meaning I'm still going to give it my all, and I'm not going to wrestle like a guy that's being careful. I really do believe that he sees there's an opportunity to go out the right way. But I'm here to tell you, you never really go out the way you want to. Very few people, if any, go out the way they want to. Sting kind of did, but once again, it wasn't that special. It could have been much more special, his last match. So whenever as wrestlers feel like we can walk away, this is it. That's my last thing. And then they go, Tony Khan's kind of complicit in this too. Why are you even tempting him with the question? Hey, if we needed you for this, would you be available? Isn't that kind of tempting him a little too much, instead of playing the boss and saying, dude, you have so much more value outside the ring. You don't need to do it.
What would be best for Bryan now then? So if he wants to continue getting in the remaining in the business as an on-screen character, I mean, do you think people would accept him in a non-wrestling role?
They did on SmackDown as GM. He was I think he did an excellent job as GM. And then if you want the special match, he can have that match. Authority figure versus a wrestler. No, but I mean, how old is he now? 40, 45, maybe 50? So,
no, I think he'd be 44, 45.
Doesn't matter. I mean, his ROH run alone was physical before he even touched NXT or WWE.
So once again, I know I'm going to re-ask the question, but slightly in a different way. Why do wrestlers always feel like they've always got one more run in them, I guess? I don't know if it's an ego thing, or is it just a money thing, or is it just like they just miss the energy of the crowd kind of thing? What would it be for you specifically that you'd miss the most?
Well, there's a part of me that misses the outlet. If things frustrate me, if things this is just me. If I'm frustrated or things make me mad or do whatever, or they make me annoyed, the wrestling thing is a good therapeutic way to, in a safe way, in a fake way, to get that frustration out, to act like I'm beating somebody up, to act like whatever. It's kind of an outlet for that physicality. And as a man, guys like to beat themselves up and prove themselves. It's the law of the jungle type thing, as Vince McMahon would say. I want to see if I can still be that old line that can still go. It's in all of us. Now with me, once in a while I get the itch and I say, man, I wonder if I could still run the ropes, take a bump, or I'll go to Devon's school and I wonder if I could still roll around with the younger guys, not take a ton of bumps and get physical like live rounds, high level, high pace type stuff. But I want to see if I can still do it at 53 years old. But then again, I have the outlet right here, James, in order to kind of pass along the knowledge that I learned, talk about the business, scratch that itch, and also put my energy into production, psychology, booking, smartboard segments, all that stuff. And not a whole lot of people have that outlet. So I think that's what it is. I mean, is it a money thing? I don't know. The guy's getting paid the same no matter what. So if somebody turned around and said, like I said before, hey, we need you for Saudi Arabia, here's a few $1,000,000. My wife, myself, James, Pokey, my cat, everybody's going to be going to Saudi Arabia. Brother.
Why doesn't he just get... why doesn't he just get the neck surgery then? I mean, if he's still on that 95% no, but 5% yes, but if he wants to be available to be called up, why didn't he get the neck surgery then?
Well, where's he going to get cut? If you're getting cut C1, C2, if you're getting the Arn Anderson in the back of the neck, not like I did in the front, it's over for the most part. Kurt Angle got one way back, but it was something just like a Band-Aid fix, to kind of keep him going. But if you get the back of your neck cut, like Arn Anderson, I feel for him because he got that surgery and one of his hands or arms or whatever is not fully functioning. I don't know if it's from the neck injury or the surgery or both, but it did carry an effect from that.
One more thing, then we'll end it with, do you find this like a therapeutic enough, the podcasting? Do you think he would find the same thing? I'm not pitching for me, by the way, to host it, but like, do you think Bryan would get the same kind of outlet or enough of an outlet to sort of curb his addiction, I guess you would say, podcasting, making videos, being creative in the wrestling sphere other than in the ring?
First of all, we're a show, not a podcast. How dare you?
Of course. No, we do a show. He would do a podcast.
You know what would fulfill me even more than this? And this fills up our time, literally, not even figuratively, of doing everything we do. This is a 7-day-a-week job that is a passion project, and I love doing it. I would love to someday possibly get the opportunity to be a commentator. And the reason why I bring that up is Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson would be awesome at commentary for himself and the business. He could be very much like a real sports analyst that goes in there and tells the wrestling side of it. Nigel does a really good job, but he's close to the action. He's in the arena. He feels the energy, and he can relive multiple matches in his mind as he's doing it, and while also educating the fans. That would be the place that I think Bryan Danielson will really, really get that fulfillment. And also the fans would get an immense amount of knowledge, energy, passion, fun. He's fun to listen to too when he talks. So I think he should be made a commentator, even though they have 6 of them right now. Sorry, Taz, I'm not trying to put you out of a job.
Yeah, but they have 6 of them at the same time sometimes.
No, I meant that. I meant 6 altogether.
Oh, God, yeah. No, something got like 4-man booths sometimes. Like,
and all they do is bury each other and rib each other during the matches.
Oh, well, that's the best bit, if nothing else. Dude.
Yeah.
Taz and Shivani, if you remember that.
I watch Botchamania just for the Taz commentary.
Right, well, no one watches this show for the Taz commentary, so we best shut it down for this week.
Now, brother.
Well,
that's brother. That's brother with an A, not the R like
brother. That's 2 D's.
That's
and
2.
U.
Sorry, Taz.
Right, on that basis, we're going to shut down the show for this week. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll be back again next Friday with episode 45, which may or may not be about Unforgiven 2004. We haven't really worked it out yet. Work it out over the next week. But once again, the videos on YouTube are doing gangbusters at the moment. Thank you so much, everybody. Once again, as well, all the plugs at the beginning, I know, but once again, we have merchandise out for the show. Just a couple of t-shirts at the moment. We're working on BWO merchandise as well to be available to you soon. And obviously, you'll be the first to know. Stevie will be the first to know. And then everybody else will be the second to know. When it's all available, we'll make a little post and we'll make a big deal of it, a song and dance, so nobody misses it. Once again, links will be in the description, but also under every YouTube video, there should be an interactive little shopping panel kind of thing that you can just click straight from there and then order with a couple of clicks. So please support the show. And a lot of you have been asking for a Stevie Richards Show t-shirt. So there it is, including Stevie Night Heat and some more stuff coming as well. But until then, thank you very much. Stevie, over to you to thank our wonderful Patreon supporters who every single time I check it has gone up another 100.
It's really awesome. I really appreciate the support here on YouTube and Patreon. Question, James. People have asked, will we have other merchandise besides t-shirts like mugs and stuff like that? I think we are planning to possibly add those pieces as well.
Yeah, but the profit margins aren't as good on mugs. So that's why we're sticking with the t-shirts.
Okay. There, the
Hey,
boss.
no, we can do the mugs.
The boss
we can
has
do loads
spoken.
of.
Well, because for Patreon, and this is an idea I have, like the Y-Files does, I would love for our Patreon supporters to possibly have merchandise, or even YouTube people, that we can have slideshows playing at the end of people holding it up while they watch the show on their TV, their phone, their iPad to show that they support the Stevie Richards Show. I think that would be, Y-Files has a nice way of doing it. We might copy that. But let's focus on Patreon, patreon.com/Stevie Richards. Thank you so much to everybody. Like James said, it is growing each and every time. As a matter of fact, we have the $1 thank you brother tier and then the $8 tier. But we're also thinking about giving some free previews for people that are on the fence. We have many, many free members. So we're thinking about some free previews to give you a taste of what Patreon is like. And hopefully, if it's a value, you'll join the community. Very interactive. As a matter of fact, one of our Patreon supporters actually shared that Miz story in a $38,000 Top Golf, not even golf, but Top Golf.
Yeah, it
session.
was indoor. It was an indoor driving range thing. Yeah.
Okay. So thank you very much. Our Patreon members are very interactive. It's a very friendly atmosphere, and they not only are educated by us, but they educate each other, and they really do interact a lot. So thank you very much for that. See you next week. Right there. First and foremost, sorry, I forgot. James Romero channel, also a brand new channel from James Romero coming very soon. Stay tuned for that.
Soonish.
As well as Stevie Richards. Yeah, it's coming, man. That's a bad way of putting it. It's coming. So, also Stevie Richards Fitness, WSI. But most importantly, thank you so much for watching episode 44 of the Stevie Richards Show. See you next week for episode 45. Ha ha.